Hey.
Hi.
I spent so much energy today asking the Quitosphere if I should be on YouTube, and then you two knuckleheads can't even make it for when your own intro's over.
Well, first of all,
I think the
Luna
intro went
had
fast.
an emergency situation. There was a bone stuck under the couch that I had to retrieve for her. And then I came back and the camera said it was disconnected. And so I had to fix that. And then Luna came in, which activated the Luna cam. So she was going to take my place because she's a good girl. And I don't know what Gonky's problem is.
Kids. I had my own little emergency.
See, it's fine.
In 2.5 minutes?
You have kids, Wombat. Come on.
That's how he made the emergencies in the first place.
It wasn't that long, I'm sure.
I made it.
Cumulative over the life.
Look, dude, I'm quick. I'm efficient. I'm efficient.
I won.
Yeah.
Wait, was it a race? Anyway.
Oh, dude.
Hey, guys.
But at what cost?
Thanks for holding down the fort, Wombat, on that intro.
No problem.
It's the Wombat show.
Hey, so anyway, welcome back, Wombat. Been a minute.
Thanks.
Yeah, welcome back.
It's been a minute.
Good to have you.
It has been.
We're here.
Good to be back.
Barely. I'm here. How's your Christmas, Gonky? Do we need to switch sides? Is this right? Okay.
Oh, there we go. Christmas was good, man. You know, the kids had a good time. We had some family come over and, ate too much, watched Christmas movies, and I think there was a nap or two in there.
Die Hard and Rambo.
Yeah.
It's the only two Christmas movies that matter.
Yeah. Not if you have little kids, but I agree with you.
Talking about. I watched Rambo as a little kid, and look how I turned out.
At 6? At 6 and 1.5?
Way before that. Yeah, way before that, dude.
Maybe that's what's wrong.
What's wrong? Nothing's wrong.
Yeah. No, dude, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation is pretty much the staple.
Oh, look, Tim says, next YouTube star, Wombat and his GT3. Speaking of which, it's been a minute.
Dang.
Wombat got an F-16 and he parked it next to this Volkswagen.
He traded the
people's
Hornet.
car.
You're really going to talk crap about a GT3. You're really going to come on
here we go. I'm sorry.
Two times the New Balance wearing braided belt jort Corvette driving, and you're going to talk crap about a GT3. You are going to be canceled for all the things you've said.
This is what happens.
This is what's going to happen. You're going to be canceled for that. I predict it.
What we want to know, Wombat, is how many check-ins.
What cell phone holder mover uses when driving the vet?
It actually comes with a cell phone holder right over your right shoulder.
Oh.
You don't have to.
Really?
Okay.
Is that for track?
It's a charger. I don't know. I don't know why it's there.
Sure. Yeah,
it's a nice car, man. It's beautiful.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm very happy and lucky and humbled that I could even.
You are not humbled. Don't even say humbled. No, there's no lying on this show.
Well, first of all, that's a lie, and second of all, I am humbled.
This is a no spin zone.
Yeah, it's
there's no humbled.
Yeah. It's a pretty impressive car, that's for sure.
I take it's automatic, right? There are no
PDK.
manuals?
Yeah, it's the PDK. They make the they do make the touring. They may make the regular GT3 additionally in a manual. They're very hard to find, and as you know, with my, and it sounds like a cop out, but I'm 45, so call it a cop out. With my left ankle injury from high school,
Don't call it a comeback.
It's always bothered me ever since then. I could drive a manual. I had the GT350 and I don't mind it, but I'm not sure what I'm going to do with this car yet. I don't know if it's just going to be a fun, I call it a weekender, but with my schedule, that could be a Wednesday, right? Or if I'm going to take it to the track, I'd like to. I mean, there's definitely going to be, twisty mountain drives and things like that. So if I do the track stuff, it is faster significantly than a manual, but I get it. Trust me. Like Mover and I talked about this a lot. Like I went back and forth because there was one that was a manual, but it was very.
Oh, they make them in manuals.
They do.
Oh, cool.
6-speed. It was just very base. There was like no options in it, and it almost looked cheap inside. And I'm like, for the price of these cars, man, it better not look cheap inside. You know what I mean? Like,
what does PDK stand for?
it's a long. Doug could figure it out because I can't say it, but it's Porsche's. Like, no kidding, they're dual clutch.
Okay, all right.
Like, you'll have to link it, or Mover could do it. It's like this long on the window sticker. That's why it's PDK. Somebody will put it in the comments. But
I'm not allowed.
But it is. It's a hell of a car, man. Like, it's crazy. Like, when you guys come up, I'll let you drive it. But it's insane. Like, the way I've never driven a car with a steering ratio this tight ever. Like, you sneeze and you're gonna die, basically. So don't.
I'll let you take me for riding it. The old diesel Dodge, you can turn the wheel like this much and it's still going straight. So I might put it in the woods.
And I think Porsche would actually feel pretty good about this endorsement. It's the opposite of your diesel Dodge.
Nobody from Porsche is watching this.
They might be.
They might be.
Nobody from Porsche.
Mover, I'll tell you what. I'm continually amazed at who watches this channel. Shocked, actually.
It's true. So, but yeah, it's really cool, and I really wanted to get a Guards red one because my son loves that color from our previous one, and the whole story behind Guards red, which I won't get into because it'll just bore people. But yeah.
So Christmas was good, Wombat, is what you're trying to say.
Well, it depends. As the breadwinner, like, nobody bought me that gift, so I basically bought myself that gift.
That's okay.
Which means I bought myself the gift of more work. But
okay.
But yeah, so it's pretty cool, and my wife very well. The fact that she is a saint and puts up with me with these things.
I've got one too.
It stands for Porsche Doppelganger Kluge's Tribe.
There you go.
Wow. Doug, where are you with our translator, sir?
Oh, I said it. I guess I just didn't say it loud enough.
Yeah, it is.
It just means double clutch in German.
I got you.
Yeah. And what's really interesting that I've learned is supposedly it's a different PDK than what was in my previous one. So it's more the motorsport PDK. And I could see that because it's the previous one drove more like an automatic. And I bet, I'm guessing, Mover, that like because of the way you described the Z06 with the PDK, which your description, I chuckle every time that I've gotten in.
It's like somebody who's brand new to manuals. You're like, holy God, get off the clutch. Let's go.
Yeah. That's exactly like slow speed. That's what it feels like. And the old car didn't feel that way. It felt very automatic like. So it's a different PDK. And it just, I don't know, it feels really good. I will say when you drop it into first gear going 20 miles an hour and the RPM shoots up to 5,000 RPM, it sounds amazing. So if you totally screw up what gear you're in, slow
what's
down.
the rev limiter?
9,000.
Ow.
Yeah.
All I hear is Harry going, when that tack reads 9,000 RPM, that's bad.
That's right.
9,000. And I think peak horsepower is at like 82 to 8,400. So
wow.
How many horses?
503.
That's a lot of ponies under the.
It is.
In
it's
back,
got the.
right?
So the nice thing about the touring, Gonky, because I know you're not a hugely educated GT3 guy, is the touring. The main difference is it doesn't have the big wing on the back, and I know you're not a big wing guy.
Yeah, I think it looks good, dude.
So now it does have active arrow that'll pop out because you'll need it. And we did get sideways, my son and I, yesterday
in Mexico
on our first drive, but.
Yes.
So it'll get away from you.
Allegedly.
It's very different. The old car was all-wheel drive. This is not. So it's it's fun.
Wow. Well, Mover, how's your Christmas? Did Santa bring you a car too?
No, I got the gift that keeps on giving. Some sinus thing that I feel like my head's about to explode all day, every day.
Nice.
For the last 4 days. It's been miserable. It's been fun.
Something going around.
I don't.
Yeah,
it's weird. It's just sinus pressure. It's nothing else. It's just this sinus thing that just won't go away.
Do you ever do nasal rinses as somebody who
a Navage?
Either?
So it's
no. I mean, I just do a
work.
little bottle.
Yeah,
dude. Ever since
They
my
work.
sinus surgery, I'm
100%.
religious.
This is the first time it's ever been like no other symptoms. Like usually you get a cold, it's like you get all the other stuff, and this time because I was around 3 Petri dishes. at Christmas.
Yeah.
Extended family.
Yeah.
They were all sick.
See, the problem
They all
is
had-
you're not around them all the time.
That's correct. That's correct. I saw it coming.
Yep.
As soon as I was with them, I'm like, you know what? This is bad. This is not going to work out for me. And then 48 hours later, here I am. Oh no, 48 hours later, it started. This is like 120 hours later. I can't do math, dude. I'm in no condition to math right now.
Yeah, I would
so-
recommend the nasal rinses personally.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah. Well, okay.
Is this show about aviation at all, or just
Swaggable?
medical
It's
advice?
old
We're
man
getting there.
problems. We're getting to that's when I was a kid. I used to like old
You're
people.
the
they always
youngest one
talk
here,
about.
right, Mover?
They always
So
talk
go ahead
about
and
what
school us
ails
on
them.
Old man.
Well, I mean, it is what it is. But anyway, if you let me finish and stop interrupting me, let me
It's not gonna happen.
actually say my thing. But you know what? Fine. Swaggable Tactical says, "Giddy up, boys! It's the Wombat Show." Obviously, because he won't let Mover talk.
Oh,
Featuring
it'll be in the comments.
and then he
You know that.
insulted my Corvette-ness just because I said it was a Volkswagen, which is true. It's the people's car. Thomas says, "Evening, boys. Welcome to the Mover Gonky Walmart show."
I love it.
Rob already covered this, but I wanted to do it again. I'll talk crap about a GT3 all day long. Z06 for the win. ZR1 for a win. Holy crap.
Yeah,
that thing.
I would say
9-second quarter mile at 150 miles an hour. That'll
I
rip
would
the
say.
paint
I
off
mean,
of
if
your
I had to choose between
Porsche.
your two cars, I gotta believe it's the ZR1 is still.
Oh, the new 01, 1,064 horsepower.
When are you getting that?
I want to be on the list. I don't know if I'm on the list. I've asked 2 dealerships. I said, "Hey, I'm going to be on your list because, but it's like the Porsche. It's hard to be on a list." Austin Oxygen says, "A GT3. Next, he's going to be flying a Eurofighter."
I'm fine.
That'd be
with
fun.
that. Yeah,
That'd be fun.
Sure.
Can I go too?
Man, he really got me with that dig.
Hey, Ron,
Thanks,
said,
Aaron.
next thing you know, he's going to be flying an Airbus.
Exactly.
Wah, wah,
True.
wah.
Tomorrow. Yay.
Luna has brought.
Oh, the
Yes.
toy. That's the reason
Yeah,
why.
she wanted to show everybody what Santa Paws brought her.
Dude, Sam.
That's
It's still in one
what Santa
piece.
Paws got
My
her.
dog annihilates.
Well,
within
she's about
seconds.
to demonstrate her whatever. She's found something in her bed.
Yeah, I don't.
But after she finds whatever that is, she's going to demonstrate her prowess. We'll check back in
Her
later.
wolf-like tendencies.
Wolf-like tendencies, yeah. Did he say something else? Oh, gift that keeps on giving has a different meaning in the military. Well, we're off the rails.
Valid.
All right. Can we get serious now? Talk about this stuff.
It's been a crazy
Dude,
end of the year, huh?
wild. Lot of stuff to talk about.
Yeah.
We've had, so today we're going to talk about the South Korean crash. We'll start off with that. Then we'll talk about the friendly fire update because we've got some info and clarifications on that. Russia shooting down their own, or the Azerbaijan airliner. And then Air Canada is doing all kinds of things. KLM, the Taliban are flying Blackhawks now. There's another one we didn't add. I don't know if you put that in there, but Pakistan shot down an Afghani Taliban light attack aircraft.
No, I did.
Yeah.
That's news to me.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we got a lot, but let's start out. This is terrible. I might be butchering the pronunciation, so my apologies if so, but Jeju 737-800 was on a red eye, and looks like they took a bird and did a go around and then did a teardrop back and attempted to land gear up and landed on the runway very long, very fast, and then went into a berm that had concrete in it because it was the localizer antenna. We'll show all these videos. And a lot of people died. So we're going to talk about it. We're going to be as respectful as we can, knowing that there's a huge loss of life. We'll talk about some things that investigators may look at or may think about, or stuff that we think about as airline pilots. But obviously, we're not here to be wildly speculating or trying to come up with the answer because we don't know. And that's what I believe the NTSB has even come out and said they're going to go over there and help them with the investigation. So there's a lot going on. But first, the first video I wanted to show kind of kicks off the chain of events. So this is early in the morning. It was a red eye. They took off around 2 a.m. And this is a video from some South Korean news agency that has evidence, and I guess they were just randomly filming of them taking the bird there. So you can see that bird or something. That would be the number 2 engine, the right engine. It looks like it's already cleaned up. So from the timeline that I've seen so far, Tower gave them some level of bird warning, whether it's bird moderate or heavy bird activity or something. And then not too long after that, they come back with a mayday. This appears to me that they're already doing the go around because they're clean. Because it looks like they're climbing up based on the angle. Looks like the flaps are down. So which you do, go around toga flaps. I don't remember what it is in the 737 515. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's been a while. I'm thinking 7-8 numbers now, but I did fly the 787, so that's kind of some of the stuff I'm talking about. And then so they were headed to one runway, and then they do this go around, and then they teardrop back and attempt to land same runway, opposite direction. And that will be we've got 2 angles of that, and it's pretty bad. So let's look at that real quick. Share. Again, we're thinking about the loss of life. So this is one angle, shows them approaching. This is not the widely shared angle here. Might be the first time you've seen this, Gonky. There's no sound.
Yeah,
so
the head-on.
It's the head-on shot, from the left side. Looks like the aircraft is yawing a little bit, but you can see there the gear is up, the flaps are up, the leading edge flaps appear to be up.
The right engine's running.
The right engine is running.
That's the one that took the bird, right?
That is the one, and it's yawing to the left, which kind of
yeah.
And then that's the end of that one. And then here's the video that probably everybody's seen and heard. Let's share. All right, you guys.
This is wild. Yeah, side view.
You guys seeing this one? Okay.
Yep.
We'll start from the beginning. So that's it landing. This is the one everybody has pretty much seen and broken down. I'm going to stop it there, dude. We don't need to see that. Okay, so that's it. Huge loss of life. I want to point out a couple things just, based on what I've seen. A lot of people have said the right thrust reverser is out. And people have also said, can you see that right there?
Mm-hmm.
People have said whether that's true or false. I don't know. In the 737, yes, it's true. Gear down. However, it's radar altimeter less than 10 feet. So they will come out with the gear up. That, to me, it looks like that's deployed because the other side's not. Because I would think, okay, it's scraping because it's pulling the nacelles back, the cowling back. But to me, it would be doing both. So it does look like the right side is deployed on this. And that's why, because you can hear a whole bunch of engine noise. I mean, you're hearing engine noise. So to me, having flown that, I've got questions, but my biggest question is, why were they gear up? The 737 is old school in that it takes, it would take a lot for the gear not to be able to come down, because to your left side, there's a panel that you can pull. So if you lose, you'd have to lose system A, like complete failure of system A, which is your landing gear. And then you would pop this panel and it's up locks. So you release the up locks, gravity and air loads will assist the landing gear to fall in that position. It takes a while, but it happens. On system B, you've got your flaps. And so the two are not on the same system. So in order for you not to have flaps, like you said, okay, you know, the uplocks, it got stuck for whatever reason. System B would drive that. And even if that fails, you've got the electrical system. So you've got a alt flap switch that you just run down and you hold it and it takes forever. And then for the leading edge flaps, there's like a little reservoir that'll just get the leading edge flaps out. You can't retract them once they're out, but that'll do it. So in a situation like this, landing gear up, I would have expected at least the flaps to be down, because as we know, Gonky, having flown the T-38, you know, doing no flap approaches, because that's about the last time we really practice it, you add 15 to 20 knots just to your basic approach speed. And so if I'm in a situation where I need to get on the ground, that happens. Now, other questions I think are going to be, what was the sense of urgency? Why were they having to get back as quickly as they had? Because if you look at the time, you're only talking about 6 minutes. From the time that go around happened to the time, I believe it was like 8:57 to 9:03 or something like that. I mean, it's not a long time. From the time that they declared Mayday to the time they land is a very short time. As you guys know, as airline pilots, it takes forever to run through all the checklists that you have to have, even if it's a no kidding, we're on the mask. Remember, we covered the Southwest Airlines out of New Orleans where they had smoke in the cockpit. And I want to talk about that incident too. Even with smoke in the cockpit, you're still running checklists. You're still going through stuff. There are very few scenarios in a modern 121 operation where you need to get on the ground in 6 minutes. And so that is a question I have, whether, you know, both engines had sufficient power, whether it's because they took birds on both engines, or they shut down the wrong engine, or they had smoke, fire, or fumes in the cockpit. But even with smoke and fumes in the cockpit, you're still got a QRC, quick reference card or quick reference checklist that you are running immediately, and it takes time to do that. There are very few times short of dual engine failure that I would see making the impossible turn to get back on the runway. And if that's the case, then they were just working with what they had. Although I've done it in the sim, it just depends on altitude. It depends on the energy when you start it, and you still try to get the gear down, because the gear will come down, usually with the windmilling hydraulics, or, you know, you still have, if you got the APU running, you can get the electrical system, or even pulling the uplocks. But I'm gonna turn it over to you guys. You guys fly a lot more airline stuff than I have, but you know, I just figured it's a lot of questions that I have. Obviously, we think our thoughts and prayers are with the families, because holy crap, man! I mean, that's one of the most horrific aviation disasters it's you know, in a while, if not in history.
Yeah, man. The last time, I think this is the worst accident they've had since '97, when that 7-4 crashed into the side of the hill. Which is, gosh, over 25 years ago. But yeah, Mover, I have all the same questions that you have. You covered it well. The only add-on I have is watching that front view video. To me, now, I mean, it's pretty clear, but it looks like the right engine, I can see the, you know, the exhaust of it making thrust, and I didn't see that on the left engine. And the bird or the compressor stall or whatever happened with the right engine. So like in my mind, I guess I'm just a little confused why it looks like to me the right engine is making the thrust on the landing. You'll see, like if you play it again, like when it gets close to the ground, you can see like the exhaust coming out of the right engine, but nothing on the left. So and we talked about the yaw as well. So I don't.
Yeah, it's yawing to the left, which that's another thing. You know, I've done a lot of single engine stuff in the 7.3 versus the 7.8. 7.8 is literally a Dreamliner, right? Because it auto trims everything for you. Once you get airborne, a lot of things happening for you. In the 7.3, dude, single engine is a workout. You know, you are full Buddha rudder, holding the trim. Remember we talked about the mishap recently where the guy, you know, instead of the trim goes for the, or thought he was going for the door, goes for the trim instead. Yeah. That is part of it, is getting that trim in. You're right. There is a little bit, but they are, when they land, they're very symmetric.
Yeah. But if you play it, I mean, I only noticed it when we were playing it here, but like if you watch as it gets close to the ground, See right there, you
Oh
can
yeah,
see it.
sure enough.
But so that's supposed to be the damaged engine. And
Yeah.
the other engine doesn't look like it's running based on just exhaust coming out the back. It may be running, I don't know. But so that's the only question in my mind is which engine was damaged? Mover. Which engine was still running? And if that may have played a role in this. And also the fact that when the airplane lands, the thrust reverser appears to come out, or maybe because it's dragging along the ground, it came out, but the left engines is not, which would be consistent, right one bet you land, just throw them in reverse.
Yeah.
So maybe they commanded reverse. So that's also a second indication. Maybe that right engine is running and the left one's not. I don't know. And then you touched on it as well, but I'll say it again. Something scared those pilots into making the decision. We're going to turn around, probably land with a tailwind, right? Because I mean, dude, they're slick, no gear.
Well, so it's not a tailwind. The winds were calm.
Okay, all right.
So if anything, it was a tailwind the first go around, and it may have been a headwind when they turned around. So
okay, all right, but I mean, something drove those guys to a sense of urgency for them to be like, you know what, we need to get this thing on the ground now. Which, looking at this, if the right engine's damage is still running, maybe it is pumping smoke into the cockpit. Which, I know you and I.
Yeah, go ahead.
I
want to get Wombat to weigh in, but then I've got something to talk about the smoke in the cockpit thing.
That's it. Go ahead, Wombat. What's your thoughts, man?
Well, and I'm not a 7.3 expert, so Mover. Again, I'm Airbus baby for the last decade, but regardless of how, if you remember, an engine craps itself, whether it's compressor stall or bird strike or whatever on a 7.3, is there any auto start functionality of that aircraft? Like if you do nothing, will it try to relight itself, or
not
is it
not
all
on the
manual?
NGs?
Okay, so that leads me.
Not that I remember. 7.8 will. I don't think the NG does. I think the LEAP engines might, but I don't think the older NGs will.
And again, obviously, this is hard to watch, and I mean, any aviation tragedy like this, it's hard to just process it, because every one of us, I mean, and I think everybody, but I mean more so as pilots, you just think about, like, at least what I think about is like, what are they thinking in those last moments? Because they knew they weren't going to stop. Now, so I hate to speak, hypothetically without knowing, but I agree, from the videos that we've seen, something happened to the number 2 engine. I think we can agree on that one from the first video. There's something there. And additionally, it appears that the number 2 engine is running when it lands. It does not necessarily appear that the number 1 engine is running. Could there have been another issue further up? Was there another bird strike that caused the number 1 engine to roll back, and then they got the number 2? We may know eventually, but not right now. I know a lot of people have commented, or maybe not commented, but glossed over. I mean, you guys have all done them. Well, Gonky, I don't know if you've done them, honestly, and that's not a dig on you, but like red eyes, like, man, you're coming back from that. Like and I don't know how long they were airborne. I don't know, circadian rhythm, all that stuff, but dude, you are not sharp. I had an incident, and it wasn't even a red eye. It was just a late flight out of LA landing in Atlanta at like 2 a.m. That's not a red eye. My FO thought it was. He kept saying how it was going to be his first red eye ever. He was excited. And I'm like, it's not technically a red eye, dude. It's just really late. But at any rate, we took off out of LA and had a gear malfunction and had to deal with that. And then I spent the next 4 hours plus thinking about how this thing was going to affect me when we land. And you're just not as sharp. I mean, you're just not as sharp. So there's that aspect. And then I know the other thing that I've seen people comment about this is how they landed long. And well, number 1, they're not used to coming in no flaps,
no
period.
Landing gear. Yeah.
I mean, in the Airbus, they tell you it's way more than a T-38. Like, it's like 50 plus knots or 75 knots you add to your speed. It's insane. And they tell you to chop the power to idle at a mile.
Yep.
At a mile. Like,
Well, that's not 7.3.
That's with the
No,
gear
no,
down.
I know.
That's with
I
the
think it's
gear
about
down
20
too.
knots, 20,
and that is with the
25
gear
knots.
down. So like, I mean, it now granted the Airbus is a very slick wing, but I'm just giving you some perspective on like,
Yeah.
so they're not used to landing like that because none of us are. I mean, very few of us. I mean, I've done it in the sim just because I used to teach there and we'd mess around, but it's not in the syllabus. Additionally, something to think about, because you guys see this in this world, everybody cares about their landing so much, right? So they have this sight picture because they just want to kiss it on the ground. Well, if they're trying to do that sight picture and there's no landing gear there, they're going to float, right? I mean, because they did the normal.
The
you're
7.3
gonna
will float anything less than, I mean, it floats for everything. You know, if you come
Sure,
in fast,
but I'm just saying that just compounds it even more
because it's
that you're
extended.
yeah, but you're expecting, you're expecting to, okay, this is where I'm going to arrest my descent and I'm going to feel the thump, but the thump's not there because there's no gear down. So
Yeah.
you're going to, I mean, regardless, you're going to flare and it looked like potentially even earlier.
Yeah,
than that.
He
I
set
think
it down nice. I mean,
they had
yeah.
it
No.
under control, you know.
Oh,
So
yeah.
they're, and I know people said, well, the bird strike caused the landing gear thing. No, bird strikes do not
part I
cause
can't
landing
speak
gear.
to. I mean, I don't, I mean, at least
No.
on the Airbus,
No,
I would be shocked.
No.
Never say never, but
right.
not from the bird strike video we saw. I mean, that was just,
no. I mean, dude, there's no, like, do you hit a pterodactyl? There's no bird that's going to take out all three because they're independent.
yeah.
And
In
gravity.
worst case, you're up locked. There's just, I mean, no, that's not.
I agree.
But I want to go back. This could be mirrored. So
Oh,
potentially,
I see.
because it is a cell phone video that's blown up. So this could be mirrored, and we could be talking about the number one engine.
But then would the other one be mirrored as well?
No, because it's different cameras.
Well, that's what I'm saying. On the other one, like Gonky pointed out.
No,
this
is horizontal video. So this is vertical video. Sometimes when they go to social media, it's because of the way the camera phones are.
Yeah.
They get flipped.
See, I still say that one and the other one, you see a reverser to me that looks deployed. I can't see the other side.
It's not.
I mean, you kind of can, but you can't.
So
And
that
then on
would
the
make
other one, the exhaust out of that side.
Yeah.
right, which would make sense. Now, if we flip that video, so they lost the number one engine. That's system A. They lost the landing gear. That means they would have to manually extend it to get it down.
Okay. What does that take timeline wise in a 7.3?
It takes a while. I mean, it's
Okay.
so it's a system, right? It takes more than the 7 minutes that they had, or that they took. Not that they had. I don't know how much time they had, but I'm saying, let's flip this around and say that engine had a catastrophic failure. Which it looked like an engine did have a catastrophic failure.
Sure.
They shut down that engine. System A, maybe it cuts a hydraulic line or something. Zero pressure. They're going to have to do the manual pull the hand. It's three. It's a whole pull. Like I remember doing it, in the sim. So, but that doesn't explain why they didn't do it. It just explains why you can't just throw the gear down and it works. Because if it had been the other engine, you can just throw the gear down and it's going to work fine.
All right.
But if it's a catastrophic failure, now that brings me to my next point. This incident reminded me of this when I first saw it. UPS Airlines Flight 6. You guys remember this?
The one in Dubai?
Dubai.
Yeah.
So
Okay, yeah.
back in 2010, UPS Cargo 747 was taken off. And again, I just want to, this is what it reminded me of. A caveat. I don't think this is what happened, but just hear me out. They have a cargo fire. Okay. And it's bad. And so the captain decides he's going to go and try to fight it because they've got smoke in the cockpit. He puts on his breathing apparatus because he's trying to fight it. He can't get back to the seat. The FO's trying to fly the plane himself. There's smoke in the cockpit. Eventually, they can't get the gear down. So that becomes another thing. They can't get the landing gear down and end up crashing. Right. So something. So that got me thinking about, I got a message from somebody about the 737 MAX. And this has been in the news, but not widely covered. it's a different aircraft, but listen to this. So FAA decides no immediate risk for the MAX. This was not a MAX. This was an 800. So theoretically not the same. Made by the same manufacturer for the engines, the CFM engines, but they're different. They're not the LEAP engines. But the MAX has an issue with the load reduction device. Okay. So they did an internal report. They looked at worldwide, but they said it doesn't warrant immediate action. They've had emergencies where when, as part of the jet's interior air conditioning system, air from the left engine flows directly into the cockpit for pressurization and cabin control, and air from the right engine flows into the passenger cabin. On March 23rd, or March of 2023, a Southwest 737 MAX from Havana, smoke poured into the passenger cabin after a 3 to 4 pound turkey vulture struck the right engine. They had a video of this. And then in December, which we covered, a 737 MAX out of New Orleans, a bald eagle struck the left engine on takeoff and smoke and fumes filled the cockpit. They said it was a 5 pound eagle. CFM said that the bird was much larger, between 10 and 14. So they're not the same engines. However, the design may be similar, and you could have a situation where smoke is in that cockpit and they're trying to get on the ground because they think something much worse is happening because they can't see. Dude, smoke in the cockpit is a big deal.
Oh yeah, it's huge. It's huge. Yeah. And it sounds like it might even be a bigger deal in a, we'll just say 7.3, because everything I hear about this plane from a flying standpoint, I haven't done it. I mean, I've been in the sim, but that doesn't really count. But like, to me, and Gonky, you can give me your opinion on this, but I know I've flown the Airbus for 10 years, but like automation wise, like if you have a Cat 3 capable approach that I could do, I could just push some buttons, and if I can't see anything, like I'm fairly comfortable. I'll be able to get the gear down, the flaps down, and as long as the outside stuff is working, it's going to put us down in the touchdown zone pretty easily. But it sounds like the 7.3, just from everything. I mean, I'm not basing it just on this, but everything. I mean, go rounds. I mean, who knows if that got boogered up, right? Because doesn't the 7.3 have weird things with the autopilot coming off on go arounds and all sorts of, because it doesn't stay engaged. And I mean, so there's just so many other external factors that we don't know. And then I agree, if you couple any amount of smoke, forget it. That's the one thing I used to teach is like, man, if you got smoke in the cockpit, like
land ASAP.
Yeah, you got the rest of your life to figure that one out because there is a point where you can't do your job anymore.
So the report says, going back to what it says, if the valves from the left engine airflow are not closed, the report said, ingested smoke will reduce visibility in the cockpit to 5 inches within 30 seconds. The report added that after just 39 seconds, concentrations of noxious fumes, acrolein and formaldehyde, maybe butchering that, in the confines of the cockpit may exceed acute exposure threshold described as potential lethality.
But that's for the MAX, right?
That's for the load reduction device on the CFM engines, on the LEAP engines.
Oh, okay.
They are CFM engines, but they're not LEAP.
I got
So
you.
I don't know.
I don't know the difference.
No one knew about this, by the way, until
the
recently.
Right.
These confirmed the LRD is the source of the oil leak in 2 emergencies. Oil flowed into the hot engine core, burning to produce the noxious fumes and smoke.
That makes sense.
So this is from CFM. It's not a LEAP engine because it's not a MAX, but
how close are they?
How close are they? And again, it sounds so, when I saw it, I'm like, that sounds so similar to what we talked about with the New Orleans thing, right? With what Southwest had. They had a bird ingestion, and then they had smoke and fumes in the cockpit.
Hey,
now
go back. Can you go back to the video from the side?
Which side?
The
2 sides.
I'm trying to think which second.
That one.
Oh, you're not seeing anything.
No, I'm not. I'm sorry.
This one.
Yeah, I don't know. Just get it to where the plane is as close to the camera as possible and pause it. I don't know if that's...
You can't see any smoke in there if that's what you're trying to say.
Go to the other video. Well, wait,
that's probably as close.
You could see light through there. See that?
Yeah.
I mean, you can see a little. Again, I'm not... Look, anything is possible, right? Yeah. I mean, this is obviously... There's a lot to unwrap here. but you can see pretty good light through there, which I don't know. I mean, it's
Something caused them to
Something
hurry.
caused them to not go through every step of their procedures. Because I guess the point being is that we train so much on single engine that, and we've covered so many. It's not this. It's
Oh, no,
not
for
this.
sure.
It's not a
Something
7-minute ordeal. It's okay. It sucked for like the first 30 seconds while we maintain aircraft control, and then after that, it's a checklist drill.
Yep. Unless something else happens. Because again, we train to a standard, an AQP standard of this is what the FAA says. So unless there's something else going on that we don't know about, and that's the only thing you can make up, right? Because I mean, they're so canned in the sim. I mean, once you've been in the airlines a few years and you've done a handful of them, you're like, oh, it's 1800 RVR. Wonder what's going to happen. It's like it's dumb. I have a buddy that I know from the Navy that was flying the Mad Dog for us, and he came in to drill once back when I was still drilling, and he was all upset because he got a V1 cut, or he lost an engine on takeoff. Real, not in the sim, like real MD-88, lost an engine. And one of our mutual friends is like, well, why didn't you just do it like you do it in the sim? My buddy got beat red. And I was like, hold on, before you ask, was it 1800 RVR? He's like, no, dude, it was 600 RVR. I was like, see, there you go. You didn't even know you were going to get an engine failure. Like, I mean, so we do things so canned, and it's great training. But I agree, there's got to be an X factor in this that will come out.
Yeah.
That they were dealing with. And one of the X factors, or one factor, I think, is the red eye.
Yeah.
Because 100%. It makes you, you're tired, man. Now, granted, you're going to get that initial adrenaline surge, right? But how long is that going to last for? We've all landed after being completely exhausted in a previous life and stuff like that. Like, you make mistakes. I'm not, and I don't know the experience levels. I don't know. I mean, there's so many factors.
Or the fuel. How much fuel did they have left?
Exactly. Right. I mean, that could be a factor. So there's so many things. It's just,
they should have had enough. I mean, the fuel should not be, because they should have had plenty to do a go around and then figure it out. You still have.
I mean, the weather looked fine. It wasn't.
It looked nice. Yeah.
So, it's, man, I don't know. There's a lot of questions that will eventually.
Dude, the other thing is that runway is 9,000 feet long. I mean, even if they would have stuck it right at the end at that speed,
it'd be close.
Oh, dude, it'd be close. And then, not to mention, maybe putting a wall off the end of the runway.
A berm. Well, it's the localizer antenna, right? They probably got this idea like, oh, we need to reinforce it. We'll put dirt around it. I'm not forgiving it. I'm just saying this is not a wall. This is a localizer antenna of dirt encased in concrete. It's a terrible design.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know a lot about airfield design and what they have to do to make a runway fit. I'm sure, right? Real estate is right.
Well, it's South Korea too, so you have to think in terms of tactical. Can we defend this base?
Yeah.
In the next war.
True.
Yeah. True. But I mean, I get it. If you land it midway, no matter what runway you land on, if you go long, you're gonna hit hardened stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's too bad they could not have, just from the footage I've seen there of that airfield. It's too bad they couldn't had a little more of a run out area, or just not support the antennas with concrete. I don't know.
No.
I don't think, honestly, they needed flaps and they needed to be at brick one.
And that would have helped.
They really needed the landing gear, which that's the question that's going to be, did you just not think about it? Did you not have time? Like, what was the urgent need to get on the ground? Because it looks like at least one engine is producing thrust. So if that's the case, you've got time unless the cockpit is burning.
Yeah.
Which
it didn't look, again, that was just something I saw, but you don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't know.
Yeah. We don't know what, if it gone out, I don't, I don't know. Holly Movie Star says, do pilot masks have face shields in case of smoke? Yes. Yes,
Yep.
you wear the mask. It's the inflatable thing, and when you let go, it grabs
Quick
your
con-
head. and
Super comfortable. Super
Quick con,
comfortable.
It's miserable.
It's
Oh
miserable.
my
It's-
gosh.
Yeah.
Well, so here was the other thing too, that they brought that up. The ADS-B stopped at 900 feet. So they stopped squawking, and
Mm.
people said, "Well, is that electrical?" Well, typically, if you're running the checklist, you go to squawk emergency. You change your transponder. They could have gone off. If you're going to standby or whatever, I mean, they could have, inadvertently turned it off while they were doing other stuff. I don't know that means a full electrical failure. It's possible, but I don't know that you can put those two together other
Yeah.
than they just lost ADS-B. So
Yeah.
Douglas Rose says, we joke about airline pilots being button pushers, but when stuff happens, a well-trained, competent pilot who can aviate in crisis is the difference between life and death. Absolutely. I mean, we're paid for our training.
You're
Yeah,
paid
online.
for your Sully day. That's what I tell people.
Yeah.
It's the truth. You just hope you never have to do it. I mean,
Yep.
it sucks. I hope I never have to do it.
Code Monkey says, why was the concrete structure so close to the runway? Is this normal? Seems unforgiving. Maybe a bad design. Yeah, it's a bad design.
Yeah.
That's a
I don't know if it's normal. I mean, I don't remember seeing a whole lot of stuff like that after.
no.
Well, you
See
see
the
localizer antennas, but you don't see
Yeah.
them, concrete berm.
I mean, there's some airfields that are trickier than others. Obviously, going to
Right.
like LaGuardia or something, you can end up in the bay. Key West is a fun one because of the berm at the end of the runway there, which is very high. But you're not. I mean, frankly, if you have any emergency, you're not going to either one of those airports. You're going to Miami or you're going to JFK or something. So,
Yeah, and you talked
Yeah,
about it, Wombat. You're doing, or maybe you was you, Gonky. You're doing landing assessments. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
anytime
Well,
you're doing any kind of emergency, even if you already landed on that, because you have to know what systems you lost and what my run out distance is. Because, dude, I would pull out the land app. Can I land in 9,000 feet?
I promise you cannot.
Yeah.
7.3 clean.
Yeah.
And I've never flown a 7.3.
Can I land at 9,000 feet with one reverser? And because we have this app, it's called the land app, and you plug in your condition and it spits out, max manual braking or brakes 3 or whatever braking you're going to do. And it says, here's your approach speed. Here's your, at your gross weight, here's how many feet, or it's going to take, or meters if they're doing that. Is this how long it's going to take for you to stop this thing? And if it exceeds your runway available, which you put this in the assets, I think this is important. Temporary aerodrome chart due to displaced threshold. So that 19 and 01. So they flipped the runway on themselves and they had a displaced threshold. So they were doing some kind of construction or something. I don't know what was driving that, but you would look at that app and go, we ain't coming back here. We're going somewhere else.
Yeah.
So whatever it was,
something
something was a time crunch for these pilots, whether it was intentional, as in the situation required it, or unintentional, as in maybe they should have rethought that. We don't know, and that's something I think
I will say
find out.
I will make a stand, and they were, well, at least one was conscious a touchdown. There's no way they both passed out. That landing.
I think they were both. Yeah.
that landing.
I don't think that. The only reason I brought up the UPS thing was just, they had a gear problem.
Yeah.
And they had smoke, fire, fumes in the cockpit, and that is a horrific time to have something.
Well, dude, and we've seen this countless times in aviation, right? The Everglades incident, with a little light that distracts everybody and they fly into the Everglades. Right? I mean, that is what they teach to. That is what we are taught to from day one is, divide, conquer, make sure there's somebody flying, pilot monitoring. All of these things that we get so sick of hearing are because in blood of hundreds of thousands of people, it's been written, because it's so easy to get roped into that one thing. And not even anything going wrong. I mean, dude, when you're tired and you're just trying to land,
Yeah. What was there?
I mean,
what
I'll
was
tell
there
you
for
this
24 hours. What did the last 24 hours look like?
exactly. And I'll, one of the things I talked to the FOs about, because I never had an appreciation for this until I upgraded. And I know I'm going to sound like, oh, that captain, but hear me out. Like, one of the most difficult things for me to concentrate on when I'm really tired after a flight is taxiing into the gate. There is so much stuff going on. There are so many little shiny objects of people darting around. Dude, it like, and I'll tell the person next to me, I'm like, hey man, back me up. Like I am focused so laser straight on just making sure we're not going to hit anything. Yeah. So it's just, I mean, it sucks.
Yeah.
You never want to see it. All I hope is that, I mean, prayers for the families and the people that didn't make it, but I just hope we can learn something from it. You know, that's what you hope for in this. At this point, there is nothing more other than I hope we can learn something. And the rest of us can become better pilots for their loss.
Renee says, could they have passed out from fumes? It doesn't appear that way, just based on how they're maneuvering and handling the aircraft. It appears that the aircraft was fully under control at the time. But Brian says, the which engine is on question makes me think of the Kegworth crash. I'm not familiar with that one.
Yeah, that was back in, I think, the early 90s. They shut down the wrong engine after engine failure.
Shutting down the wrong engine is something that happens in training like all the time. And just,
tell you how many times I saw that.
That's why, that we're on like the 14th iteration of, confirm. Like, how many times can you say confirm when you're shutting down? Like, touch the switch. Say who did that? Why? Gonky, stop. Doug is just messing with us over there now.
Probably.
No, I just discovered a hotkey by accident.
Oh, at least you didn't yell at Wombat.
I agree, though. We do beat that up, but again, I don't know what kind of training they have.
Yeah, and Gonky, you mentioned that about it's a different. You've flown with people that have come from that area, and it's different.
Yeah. They you never know. There may be a training issue, or I mean, that's one of the things that
I just hope we could learn. And
yeah, we will. I think this will be a hot button that we will learn from.
There's just too much life that it has to be.
Dan says, rough week in aviation. Glad we have the full cast to discuss it. Yes, thanks, Wombat.
Yep.
Dan also says, did you hit a pterodactyl Mike Tyson?
It's awfully big bird.
Wicked. That's out of like Forrest Gump. Hi, guys, and guest Wombat.
Hello.
Thank you, Richard.
Yeah, Richard.
Ron says, can we talk about how the Navy won the uniform contest in the Army-Navy game? Dude, this reminds me of the meme I sent you, Wombat, where it's like, if you didn't go to the academy, do you really care?
Dude, it is. I will tell you what I told my skipper in the Wallbangers right before I got thrown out of the ready room, and I'll say it again. That is the greatest high school football game of the year.
Any one of them would die for your freedom. Okay, well.
If I hear one more commentator talk about how, oh man, he would laugh at this too because he knows.
I'm here. It's just this. I don't know what's going on with this camera. Hold on.
If I hear one more commentator while I'm scrolling past an Army-Navy game say, well, every one of these cadets has to have a 4.0. And I'm like, no, they don't. They do not. No. Trust me. I have flown wing off plenty of people that were the 2.5 to survive academy graduates. Like, I get it. I appreciate that sentiment, but don't make up lies. Like, they're just, I'll get hate for that, but whatever. That's what I did. I did in the Wallbangers. I walked in and my skipper was there with his popcorn. He was the only one.
Was he a ring knocker?
Yeah. And
that's the term for academy.
Oh, yeah. And he's like, Wombat, are you going to watch the Army-Navy game? And I was like, hell yeah, sir, it's the greatest high school football game of the year. And he's like, get out. And I was like, all right, well, that was not allowed in my ready room anymore. I was LSO that day too. I couldn't even read I'd have to wait outside while the team went in to read the passes for the Hawkeyes because he wouldn't let me back in. I stand by what I said, though.
Welcome back, Mover.
I said, well, I was hearing voice only in spirit. I don't know what's going on tonight with this thing. From the large country of Turkey.
Hello.
Nasat Akar says, hi from Turkey. Thanks for the awesome show. Thank you. Ali movie star. Do any airliners have smoke evac systems for cockpits? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. But again, it takes time to run through all those checklists.
They didn't. Yeah. 6 minutes is.
No. I mean, 6 minutes is not enough time to do much.
That's like a fighter timeline for changing runways. I mean,
That's like a SFO, like a Zoom
Right.
Stores jet. I'm turning back, a possible turn. I'm going to
Well,
try
it's
to
like,
land and
remember
not
the
eject.
T-45 that sucked the bird? It was a Surgrad. You know him, Gonky, but I think it was a Meridian jet. He took off and he ate a bird and he flipped it around and landed. I mean, and it took everything. And he was a fantastic, highly gifted aviator. And it took everything for him to flip that thing around and get on the runway.
Yeah.
And that's about the simplest jet. I mean, for being honest, like it's not complex at all. So,
Not like a 7.3.
It just,
no.
it's intentionally like that because we want to make sure we're not shutting down the wrong
100%.
engine and stuff.
100%.
We have the checklist. We have to go through it. Like when you go to a sim for your, requal or, 9-month, 18-month, year, whatever, you're going to run checklists. Like it is just a checklist drill.
It's almost what you do exclusively.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because you're like, oh, autopilot's on. Let's go through the checklist. You have the aircraft.
Well, because you're not doing it, hopefully, on the line. I mean, you're not running a lot.
Well, and another thing we didn't talk about it, but I mean, transport. If you're comparing, fighters to airliners or transport airplanes, in fighters we just punch out, right? But airliners, since they don't have that, I mean, they're built and designed with like multiple redundant systems. So like flaps, right? I mean, the left engine, the right engine, there's probably an electric pump. I mean, there's all kinds of backup systems to get the gear down, the flaps down, to get you into some sort of, landable condition because, you
don't have a second.
You don't have an ejection seat, right? So, I mean, those airplanes, that's why it's just so eye-opening.
And it's, I brought up the stuff about the LEAP engines and all that stuff, but overall, commercial air travel and air travel in general remains the safest form of transportation.
100%.
And just because they cluster does not mean we have some kind of epidemic.
No.
There's stuff we're going to learn from. We're going to learn systems. We're going to learn all this stuff. But still, when you put Meemaw on your, Southwest flight to Orlando, she is in good hands. She is going to be safe.
And probably get there early with how fast they taxi. So
Mock's not.
They do taxi fast.
They do taxi fast.
Keep
Ron
on schedule.
says, kudos, Wombat. Sadly invested in the Army Navy game as a Navy brat from Virginia Beach. Hokie grad myself. Hope we get better soon. Kevin says, Asiana 777 into San Francisco 2013 was what came to mind when I first saw this. Well,
wow.
But that wasn't a compound emergency, right?
No.
That was they got low, got slow.
That was more of a.
Well, they did hit a wall. I mean,
they hit a wall, and the emergency equipment took out. That was the
fire truck ran over somebody, and
that was very sad. Renee says formaldehyde fumes would have impaired judgment. That's true. I mean, that is valid. If you have fumes and you're not on oxygen right away. Richard says, love the Spectre series.
Richard.
Hell yeah. Hey, by the way, you guys have like 2 more days before they go full price. So buy them now, buy them early.
What's the full price? Is this going to be like back to where they were or even higher?
Back to what a traditional ebook is. So
what is a traditional ebook?
Well, you'll just have to see, Wombat. Okay. You'll just have to see. Just
because you've told me repeatedly that mine are overpriced, and I just have been too lazy to lower the price. So.
Well, anyway, he has more questions. Which hot actress was your inspiration for Michelle Decker?
Oh,
God, so 2013. That's pre-Margot Robbie days.
Was it though? I mean,
she wasn't. That's 2012, 2013. Probably Brooklyn Decker. I think probably makes sense, right? Michelle Decker.
Yeah. Let's not make this into a Diddy podcast here. Let's focus on
$2 for Luna.
Thanks.
And $5 Canadian for
E10.
Gonky. And Zippers Forever says some German.
Something
for your Porsche.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So let's change gears to some military talk before we go back to airliner talk.
Yeah. All right.
Gonky, you got it.
Update: Hornet shot down by friendly fire. So Mover, you and I covered this last week. Last week. And since then we've gotten some some more info. I think
Nicely covered, by the way, I'd like to say, compared to a lot of the morons on the internet. Just so
Really? Thank you,
guys did a
Wombat.
really
There,
nice
there are a
job.
lot of morons on the internet.
No, I know,
thought
but
we
you
were
guys did a nice job.
okay. Well,
The
thank
way
you, man.
because I could tell the military pilot in both of you had opinions that you didn't literally. You're like, I want to say it, and if we weren't recording, I would say it.
That's why you're
If we're
here.
in the trust tree, I would say it, but for the
Yeah.
sake of the individuals involved, I'm not going to say it quite yet. And then people that need a lot of attention on Twitter just vomited everything that should have never been released that soon, and whatever. Go ahead. So nice job. That's all I wanted to say.
Well, thanks, man. Well, I mean, just a quick update, but I mean, we did get some info about kind of what happened. Really, Wombat, I kind of wanted to, since you weren't with us last week and you are an LSO, I kind of just wanted to get your
Still
take.
am technically.
Saved the day.
Cag paddles, man. Angels in white. That's all I have to say.
Anyway, hold
So,
your
yeah.
questions to the end, Wombat. Let the man speak. Let him tell the story.
So a couple little details, and I don't want to muddy the waters on any investigations going on, so I just keep it pretty general. But kind of like we talked about last week, Hornet in and around the local area of the ship, so inside of maybe 10 or 15 miles of the ship. And as you know, Wombat, everyone's up button one, right? Everyone's sitting on their hands, fat, dumb, and happy. You're in your safe.
Not button one. It would have been 17.
17. Yeah, sorry, my bad. And it's like 2:00 in the morning. So
16. Sorry.
night. You're right. It's 16.
Yeah.
Night recovery.
They would have been up Marshall.
So the jet that got shot down, recovery tanker, basically everyone's squawking, man. So it's a recovery tanker and 2 other Hornets that are in the local area. Recovery tanker is about
After shooting all the things, by the way, they had just been doing some work.
correct. So there's
But the recovery tanker was not part of that, correct?
Correct.
No, he was. He wanted to. He tried to be.
He tried.
He didn't.
Okay.
He wanted to be. That's why he went out.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
So there was a real world DCA going on because there was drones in and around.
Defensive counter air.
I
Correct.
was gonna say,
Defensive
make sure
counter
people
air.
know. Okay.
They were doing their thing. They're coming back. 5 wet tanker, right? So you got a couple of Hornets joining on the tanker.
That's 5 drop tanks.
Correct. 5 drop tanks because
Like I'm the little whatever.
No, we need it.
For
This is good.
Gonky.
If Mover can understand what we're talking about, then everybody else can too. So that's perfect because we go on tangents. So this is good.
So I guess there was a profiler route that they had to take to like stiff arm the destroyers and the missile boat, just to let them know, hey, these are Hornets coming back, and they did that. We talked a little bit about that last week, Mover, as far as known routes coming back. And I guess the tanker, they're just kind of doing their thing, and Hawkeye goes down and passes control to the missile boat, the Gettysburg. And
who's the guard, by
Fantastic
the
job,
way?
by the way.
He's doing
I mean,
plane guard,
Gettysburg
right?
really did a nice job taking
He was
over
doing
for-
plane guard. What is
He was
plane
doing
guard?
Plane guard is there's 2 ways we do it. Okay. It could either be a helicopter or it could be a ship. It's usually a ship because it's easier, but the helicopter can do it in a pinch. When you're an LSO, it's very difficult to see where the horizon is, especially in certain conditions. So they will park a ship or they will park a helicopter behind the aircraft carrier on the approach course. And that way, when I'm on the flight deck and I'm waving, I can reference those satellites here and know where the horizon is. And then I can take a look at where the jet is on the glide path. If I don't have that, I'm just looking at a black hole but I have no reference point. So the plane guard gives the LSO a reference to then be able to tell if you're high, low, or on glide. That's basically what it is.
LSO is the landing signal officer.
Or angel in white.
So the Hawkeye goes negative primary. They pass control to the boat. So I'm not sure which boat that is, but
Hawkeye being the command and control AWACS E2.
Correct. E2. But that's normally kind of up there managing
doing
kind
all
of
the things.
The UFO dome spinny thing on
but just because I thought about that too when I read that the Hawkeye went down. Very rare is the Hawkeye in control of
radar
recovery. That would be a case 2.
Yeah.
And
No,
that's
you're right.
not
It is
what they were doing. So it's
It is.
very rare that the Hawkeye is actually controlling the aircrafts down to landing.
So the tanker here is they're making their descent towards final bearing, which is the final, basically final along. It's nighttime, right? Because it's in the morning, a long final for the recovery on the ship. When they see the missile launch, and at first, their initial reaction is like, I can't believe they're shooting drones with SM2s, and then they notice that it is guiding on them. It is tracking on them and
staying in one spot in the
correct. And there's not much discussion between the pilot and the Wizzo, but the pilot pulls the handle and they punch out, and the missile takes out their jet. They spend an hour or so in the water before
in the Red Sea.
I thought it was just 20 minutes.
I think
hour?
they got. They
No,
got.
they were in the water. They were in the water a while.
Yeah, it was like an hour.
They were in their raft. It took about 20 minutes. He said to get in the raft.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
They were. I don't care, man. Like that.
So he preemptively ejected. He's like, that thing is going to hit me.
Yeah.
Hey, you want to get out?
Well, because he's 5 wet. He's doing 300 knots.
That's the thing. They're
everything's
fenced out.
off.
They have no countermeasures.
Yeah, correct.
Everything's off.
And
so
do you turn your RWR off too?
Yeah, dude. A lot of
really?
times. Yeah, because it's just distraction.
Well, dude, you don't need. Because think about it. If you get painted by anybody when you're trying to land on the ship, that's the last thing.
It's distraction. Yeah. So.
In the Air Force, did you guys leave your raw on in the landing pattern?
Turn it, because I'd know if 2 was tied. Because if we're coming back like a radar trail or whatever.
Yeah. No, we turn all that off.
We turn the dispenser off, but the RWR, just leave that thing going most of the time.
If it was still on, I can't remember if it was still on, it was turned.
I think I left mine on in the Hornet all the time.
Way down.
I turned that thing
on.
Their
indication was they saw the bright flash and then saw the tracking.
Yeah, they didn't need the raw gear for that.
Well, so -2 now.
Yeah, so
the second one.
Correct. So the second Hornet in the Congo line here, turning final, sees all of this happen, and shortly thereafter sees a second missile launch coming and assesses that it is tracking on him, and he does his best to defend from that missile
all the way to the water.
Oh.
The whole time broadcasting, on whatever
on anybody that'll listen.
Help me, Tom Cruise. Help me, Oprah Winfrey.
Anybody that'll listen on any freak. Hey, we're stop shooting. But who saves the day is Cag Paddles down there, sees what's going on, witnesses. This happened literally like in plain view of everyone on the carrier. What happens? He picks up the phone, calls the air boss, captain of the ship, and they get word, hey, everybody stop shooting. And because of that, we think allegedly that's what saved the second Hornet from getting
aborted the attack
because
it's about 100 foot or 100 something foot miss distance.
Yeah, the second jet very, very close, and they made it. So that's kind of the quick update. Thankfully, again, everybody is okay. But as far as like what happened in the breakdown in the chain of events, as far as, hey, how do we declare something hostile? When do we push the button to shoot it? That's going to come out later, or it may never come out. We don't know.
It may never come out.
Wombat, I like, as somebody who spent a lot of time on the platform. What went through what do you think of that, man? What went through your mind? Imagine standing out there, like getting ready to wave this dude and all this, like you just, right?
No, well, and again, I'm trying to grade him.
There's gotta be like, we just talked about it, right? With you're tired. They're doing combat ops, right? Waving in that type
Wombat,
of scenario.
Are you tired?
I am. We were up at 4 a.m. here in the TR Matson household for tornado warnings, which was dope this morning. So
just ignore those; they'll go away.
So I apologize. No, I grabbed the kids and we went in the storm shelter is what we did. But you're tired, right? You are exhausted. You're up there. I think it was like 2 or 3 in the morning. They're doing this recovery. You're now, from at least reading between the lines, this isn't standard cyclic ops anymore. This is kind of like paddles to the platform type of stuff is what I'm guessing. And I mean, I could only imagine, you're up there and you're like, okay, you're doing all your checks, and all that, because there are a lot that you have to do to make sure the radios work and paddles, radio check, blah, 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 gear, lens, all this stuff. Then all of a sudden you see something go up and you're like, what? That's bizarre, and then you see what happens and you're like, what? Like, I mean, the mental process and then the wherewithal that CAG paddles to pick up the phone, punch the button, and just call it off, period. Now, he did not know at the time, granted, a plane just got shot down or something did. I mean, again, it's nighttime, right? I mean, now, if it's close enough, and I don't think they were within 10 miles of the ship, I don't think. But even if they were, is it clear enough and is it bright enough that they see that it's a Super Hornet and they see that there's people popping out of it? I don't know. But then to have the wherewithal to call the big man and call the abort when you don't know if that second missile was going to something that needed it aborted on, whether he thought about that. I mean, and then let's not forget our hero who punched out of a jet before any impact.
Oh yeah.
Tell me you guys would have had the wherewithal to do that. That is some
Nope. I'd have watched it hit me going,
Yeah,
that can't be right.
Yeah.
That can't be
Like,
right. No.
You have massive cojones to pull that, because I'll tell you what, you're either a 1 or a 0, man.
Oh yeah.
Because if you screw that up, like,
At minimum, you'll get a new call sign.
that's the least of your problems.
Right.
That's the least of your problems. I mean, you inadvertently punch out a crew and then that plane's just flying around.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, so bravo to him.
Wombat, do you guys, I'm just curious now. Do you ever check in with the plane guard as a CAG pals? Like, hey, you guys are too close, too far. We can't
Not
see
usually. No.
More lights.
It's not. They're just where, I mean, dude, they're swows. They live their life at 10 knots. Like, give me a break. Like, it's just like, be behind the ship. Like, that's all we need. I'm not asking you to do anything. The funny part about this, and it came out that they got picked up by the Gila Squadron. So again, props to those guys, rescue swimmers jumping in there. I mean, there's so many, everything worked right after everything worked wrong, which is a kudos to naval aviation, right? Like, you take the absolute worst scenario that you could possibly imagine. I mean, think of how many times you've landed on a ship. Getting shot down by your own forces is the last thing. It never even clued into your mind. Never once did you think about, when you were coming in on case 3 at night, like, man, I really hope the destroyer doesn't shoot me down. Like, not one. And anybody who's like, I thought that, bullshit. You didn't think that. That's
Save me from a no grade.
Yeah, you were in the trust tree at that point, right? Like, you're back. Like, okay, I am 100% focused on this landing because I don't want to kill myself. So it went the absolute worst that it could possibly go. And then immediately naval aviation kicked in, right? And everything worked. And they got the guys out of the water. They saved the second jet. I mean, nobody talks about that recovery. How would you like to be -2? And they're like, all right, man, take Angels 1.2, turn left to this heading. You're coming back around. Like, still got land on a ship.
At that point,
Like,
you're Cougar.
Yeah,
Dude. Yeah, guess what? I'm raw gear
Wife
on.
and kids, sir.
Dispenser's
I've
on.
never even seen them.
Dude,
the amount of mental energy it takes just
That's
to do it
true.
once. Do you remember if you bolted or when you had to do those god awful night touch and goes at the rag?
Yeah,
Those were the worst things ever, because you put all your energy into one and then
For
you still have to
nothing.
go back and do it.
Yeah.
This should
Now,
be the opening
imagine-
scene to Top Gun 3.
Yeah. Imagine your homeboy just got shot down in front of you and you just missile
By
deep
your
the
own
deck.
people.
And it's like, yeah, we're going to need you to come back and do the hardest thing in aviation. Just real quick. Just, we got you. Paddles contact. Like,
Can you tell the Gettysburg to go to the other side of the working area?
I don't trust him.
I don't trust him. It's like, I need more time to maneuver.
Oh my goodness. Like, I mean,
Well, so it does bring up a point that I think is lost here. What are we doing?
Dude,
What are we doing? Because we're about to talk about, the Russian shoot down of an airliner because of a drone threat that they think is happening. We are shooting down drones
we did the
with
same thing.
$1 million missile worth of missiles.
Yeah.
With these, like, the fact that the Gettysburg was even prepped to shoot down a drone, they thought, we thought we, like, We have got
Yeah,
to
'cause you have
figure
to
out
be in a
some better
posture.
tech, because if that's all it takes is overwhelm our defenses and we'll start shooting ourselves down
Could be a short war.
for any country, not just us.
Right.
Russia's doing it
Right.
too.
Yeah.
I mean, we're hitting, what is it, the fly with the hammer? Like, what are we doing that we're using weapons that were designed against the Russian horde of bombers and fighters against $35 drones? Like, we need
Ruber,
better tech.
I rest my case on BFM is never dead. And the gun is always required in a fighter, dude. Because listen, if we're doing blue on blues and the Russians are doing blue on blues, like you're gonna need your BFM skills in your gun if it ever hits the fan.
Mm-hmm.
Just say it.
I just, to me, it's we need to solve this problem.
Cheaper.
Not just because, yeah, from a financial perspective, if the enemy, all they have to do is saturate us to the point that we're idiots, we're losing. Like, it doesn't matter if we shoot down every single drone. When you spend, $2 billion to $150, you're losing that fight, whatever it is.
Yeah.
It's an exaggeration. I know people don't understand hyperbole and exaggerations of a fighter pilot, but what I'm saying is this maybe should prompt a paradigm shift in how we approach these things. And I don't know what it is. I'm not that smart. We need the engineering types to come out. Lasers. Like, if I'm doing it, we're getting lasers. But if somebody else is doing it, I don't know what else you got. EMP guns.
Well,
Trons.
see, I think you need to. I think it needs to go the opposite way. I think we need to train in a more degraded environment. That's the thing, because if you're going to be overwhelmed and you're going to lose the Hawkeye, which means you probably lost some of the link, maybe some of your SA, and you don't even know that you have 3 dudes landing on a ship on a recovery, you might be relying a little bit. I'm just saying, a little bit too much on the automation.
That's true. That's true.
You know what I mean?
But still,
you
the
may have
fact
to
that
dumb it down.
we're in
The
this
idea of the
area, and we're like, this is not the first time. Gonky has talked about this, about what happens when they get through. What happens when it's the gun on the ship is taking out the drone. Like, the fact that we're having this discussion tells me it doesn't matter how degraded, how contested, or whatever. We're doing this wrong. We are taking our conventional weapons and fighting unconventional wars, and we are not adapting to the threat. We're trying to use what we have against something. Like, dude, how much does a 9X cost every time you shoot one of these things down?
More than a drone. More than a Houthi drone.
That was definitely when I read about it, I thought about, I'm like, we're doing what with what?
How
Like,
much
we're sending Super Hornets up against drones? Like,
well, how
what?
much does the stupid missile that shot down our Hornet cost? How much is that? That's got to be $1 million something, right?
No,
At
I'm
least.
Sure.
So what was it like? Okay, let's say the Hornet wasn't there and it was shooting a legitimate target. Why? What was what? Why?
Yeah.
Well, dude,
how damaging is this drone that you need to lob $1 million missile at it?
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, the bottom line
let
is
the gun shoot it.
We just don't have a developed anti-drone defense system. All of our stuff is for airplanes, cruise missiles, guided missiles, right? Bombers.
Yeah, we're behind. I mean, I hate to say it, but we're behind, and
we're very much behind.
But we've done this our whole careers. We've fought behind all the time, and the X factor that makes our military great in the past is the individuals that are operating it. But if there is a degradation in that, whether it is because they're not training the same way, they're worried about cybersecurity and making sure you take your CAC card out of your CAC reader before you go get chow, or else somebody might send an email. We're concerned about all these other things. Maybe, oh, by the way, recruiting is down. So maybe ships, I don't know this, are they being manned with the same number of people? If they are, those people are deploying like crazy.
Quality of people.
Well, it might not be the same quality of people, right? So now you get people that are exhausted, that have been deploying like crazy. They're in this mental state of just like, it's another day, whatever. It's the same thing. And it's like, oh crap, they're actually coming. And that Swiss cheese model that we've all heard about.
Are you exhausted, Wombat?
I would not want to fly an airplane aboard an aircraft carrier or be responsible for SM2s currently in my career.
You've said exhausted about 69 times. So I'm sensing a trend.
I'm saying that fatigue factor, there you go, is a factor. And we've all operated in that world.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you couple that with the fog award, everything else, and it's like,
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I mean, that's like, this is,
Well,
dude,
I-
that's
I-
the trust tree mover. Like when you come back to the ship, like when you're within 10 miles, when you switch button, 15 or 17, man, you're
What?
home. Like you're going to where the food is, bro. Like it's good. Life is good. I'm going to go get me a
Cheeseburger.
one-eyed Jack.
Yeah.
This is good.
speaking of
That's
trust
not-
tree, can we just address the fact that the bros let this dude down?
Oh, 100%.
Like
100%. This is the most egregious, and I'll say it, and this is where I was applauding you guys. It's out now. It doesn't matter. This is the most egregious slap in the face on the naval aviation bro network that I have ever seen, and you guys know my story, and the internet does not. And for me to say that says something. Like there is no reason this should have gotten out. There is no reason that
verbatim.
people that
It
have
wasn't just like a. It wasn't
freaking
like they just
verbatim.
copied and pasted this dude's narrative and were like, "Hey, here,
With call sign.
influencer. Yeah, here, influencer. We didn't even redact any of it.
No.
Here is
No.
what the dude wrote in a Word
It was
document.
a copy, paste, sent out. Whoever sent that out, in my opinion, should lose their wings because they've lost all trust in naval aviation. You just have. Like, you don't do that to your buddies because here's the thing. Everything we've done is based on trust. And I said this, my first tweet when this came out, if you look back, I said the trust has been lost somewhere, right? You're getting shot down by the plane guard. The trust has been lost. And the leadership of that carrier battle group better fix it fast because I'll tell you, you do not want to be in charge of that battle group if that trust is lost because you're going to have more mishaps because people are going to be looking over their shoulders, going to be doing all this stuff, and they're not going to be focused on what they should be doing. So that trust was lost. To then have somebody release this, I'm pretty sure it was not the pilot himself. Just going to go out and say that. He had to write a statement. He had to do his thing. And somehow it got from him to the Twitter sphere. And you get these people that need likes and clicks. And it's so important to them to be the first person out there. They don't think. And one of them, and I'll call him out right now. I don't even care. He can come talk to me in person. This is a guy I would talk to face to face. When his comment is, I don't give a damn. The Navy can't do anything to me. I'm old. That was his statement on this when somebody was like, why are you putting this out, dude? This should not go out to the public. And he's like, what are they going to do? Send me back out to sea? And I wanted to be like, bro, it's not about you, you egotistical bastard. It's about the dude that's on the ship that just got shot down by his forces and what he is going through right now. And you just want to get more likes so you could sell whatever crap you sell on the internet. And you could feel like you're somebody special when, frankly, you're just a washed-up old fighter pilot. And that is the part of this that has just pissed me off beyond any other imagine. I'm glad that the pilot and the wizard are safe. Hopefully we fix this and it doesn't happen again. But for everybody out there that's on social media, use your freaking head. Like for just an ounce, just use a little bit of that brain power and think about what it would be like to be the dude that was sitting in a raft that just got shot down by your plane guard. That's my issue.
Secret Service level protection back there.
Yeah. I don't know who you're talking about, Wombat, but you don't have to say it, but I just like,
I'm not gonna say it.
yeah, it's like, wow. Yeah.
People know, though, and it's not the one we always talk about. I have no idea because I don't watch him. It's not that.
What are we
It's
always
somebody
talking
else.
about?
Mover knows because I mentioned it to him and we were talking
Yeah,
about that.
there's
And I
things.
really hope there's no backlash on the pilot because there could be, frankly.
Yeah.
I mean, in the
Right.
twisted world that we live in, there could be. So
Oh, sorry, we're going back. Aaron says, when was the last hull loss accident part 121 in the U.S. until recently? The 2001 crash in Jersey? Hull loss.
Yeah. No, they've
Hmm.
they've had
I don't know. That's a Wikipedia thing. We're
Yeah.
not that. Bag says, what books has Wombat written?
No, you
Treason
cancel
Flight,
me.
Vengeance Flight. You need to
no,
Go
I have
get
to
them.
stop.
or else.
Sorry.
Let's see here.
I didn't
They're
mean
on
to go
here.
on a rant.
They're on here right
There
here.
we go,
You
right
need to-
there.
You need to update that.
I know he's not a Mustang driver anymore. I don't know how to hide the. Nope.
Yeah, no,
hide
it's
the-
good. It's fine.
Okay. That's the book you need to go buy. Go buy Wombat's books. In fact, Wombat was accused of writing unrealistic stuff, and then it happens in real life. He's Nostradamus.
dude. Yeah, that's a fact.
I do like that. But I didn't mean to go on a rant. It just
Did you though?
that annoys me because you guys know, and I have a personal effect on this, like of bros turning backs. And I mean, dude, it's like, come on, man. But at least those people were in my squadron. You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
Ivan
Like,
says
dude,
if
that
everyone
is- I
here
just-
chips in $5,000, Mover and Gonky can buy a retired Tomcat. We wouldn't be able to afford to fly it though.
well, the good news is it probably would.
Here
not
you go.
fly.
That's what you were talking about. Aaron says Mooch actually covered it pretty well. Don't bully
And
him,
it-
Gonky. I'm going to bully you. Why are we talking about other channels on our channel?
Well, you can.
Why?
Dude, I'm a fan of other channels.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, I don't. I mean,
And I will say it wasn't Mooch. I did not read watch
No, it
what he
wasn't
said
Mooch.
about this, but it was not him that I'm referring to.
I know who you're
So,
talking about. I saw the
I know
tweet.
you
I shared your response to the X people. Pneumatic Elephant says, gentlemen joining late. We almost made it through one of the leapest of the leap years. I wanted to thank you for your service and support throughout these tumultuous times. Here's to a great 2025. Wicked Spy. You don't have any comments for that? Thank you. Happy 2025.
thank you. Yeah, that's awesome.
Wicked Spider Black says, Mover, have a beard. Looks great. Need a beard show.
I mean, everybody's making YouTube channels now, right? Just have a beard.
Are you making a YouTube channel? The poll was overwhelmingly in favor of it. So
It's
now
because you
have
told
to.
everybody to vote yes. That's skewed data. What are we talking about? The election now? Come
Well,
on,
I'll
you
tell
gotta make
those
this
same people
fair.
to watch your channel, and then therefore, like I think you need to. It needs to be. What's up, everybody? This is Wombat coming to you live from my Porsche. Like that's what we need.
Heavy emphasis on the poor, but
Love it.
On topic, Holly Movie
Hello,
Star
Holly.
says, "Have you seen the NGAD drone? We forgot to add that. That we're not going to have time.
No.
The Chinese thing. I already covered it. Go to my channel. NGAD drone video uploaded to YouTube 3 months ago. No control surfaces, only uses thrust vectoring. The perfect loyal wingman. Yeah. No, I
the
haven't
perfect
seen
loyal wingman.
that.
Does
Wing
not
persons.
exist.
Brian, flak fused for drone motors. How about drone v drone? Send out our drones to fight their drones. It's like a little mini, like a micro machine version
Yeah,
of
it'd be like a
combat.
fake war. That'd be fun to watch, actually. It'd be just
It's like watching a DCS tournament.
yeah.
That
We
would
can
probably
have
be the most.
commentary.
That'd be
We
the
could
most
trash talk.
economical.
Uh,
That'd probably be the most economical way of handling it, man.
Zippers Forever says we spent 20 years launching $250,000 javelins at dudes in sandals. You know, we
it's not wrong.
Uh,
It's not
no.
wrong.
yeah,
It's true.
AT4.
Did we win that one?
We don't ever win. David Bond says at least it was an aircraft with ejection seats. Yeah, what if it had
Yeah,
been the
would have
Hawkeye?
been or the E2. Yeah,
Yeah.
that'd have been bad, real bad.
Mhm.
Tom P says Wombat mic drop.
Tom P, thanks, man.
Steven says Boeing, Airbus ever thought of emergency drag chute? No, because you've got thrust reversers, you got spoilers, which the spoilers were not up either.
Mhm.
You notice, which you got to manually deploy without
Mhm.
the weight on wheels and
Oh, okay.
You'd screw up a drug shoot in a. in an
dude, it would
airliner
end up in
pretty
the
good.
intake
It
of
would
somebody
just-
else. A 777.
Like there'd have to
would-
be such a procedure
Yeah.
that would just. No.
Well, I mean, we can't go without
You'd have a better
popping
chance
slides.
of ejection seats.
Yeah.
Just put in 200 ejection seats and just.
Tom says Wombat on fire is best Wombat. 100% correct. All right. Moving on
Move.
to our third topic
Sorry.
of the night.
I will not be as animated on this one.
Oh, yeah, you will.
Mm.
So am I doing this one? Sure, I'll do it. Vlad, assuming I don't tip out. So Putin apologizes for tragic incident, but stopped short of saying Azerbaijani plane was shot down. So as you may know, an Embraer E190 from Azerbaijan Airlines was shot down on Christmas Day. And it unfortunately resulted in the loss of life of 38 people. Official from the Kremlin stated that the air defense systems were firing near Grozny as the airliner repeatedly attempted to land. It did not explicitly say one of these hit the plane, though. But the president, Ilham Aliyev of Azerbaijan, for the fact that the tragic incident occurred in Russian airspace. Readout said Russia launched a criminal probe into the incident and state prosecutors have arrived for relevant services. The plane was flying from Baku to Grozny when it turned toward Kazakhstan, hundreds of kilometers. I don't know why that's in. What does that like?
I mean, if you look
miles. The
it's a lot.
across the Caspian Sea from the intended destination and crashed while making an attempt to land. There were 29 survivors. Thought it just said 38. Oh, they must have died after. According to the readout, the call to the press off as external physical and technical interference, but he stopped short of blaming the Russian air defenses due to foreign particles penetrating the cabin mid-flight. Well, a surface-to-air missile would be a foreign particle.
Yes.
With a rapid unscheduled disassembly. Apparently he did, but I haven't spoken to him. Biden made a comment after leading church about whether Putin should take responsibility for the crash. However, so basically, there's other articles. Basically, they get shot and they attempt to make an emergency landing and they're denied. The Russians said no. And so they are now diverting. And as they're diverting, they're losing control of the aircraft, hydraulics and whatnot. And it sounds like early reports, it's kind of a Sioux City scenario where these pilots are just doing everything they can to control it, using whatever methods possible up to and including, thrust, differential thrust, all that stuff. And unfortunately, when they got to the, they got to a point where they couldn't control it anymore, did the best they could, it crashed. And there were actually some survivors, which to me is absolutely incredible that we're talking about there being survivors on this. But it is very similar to what we just talked about with, drone saturation and air defenses shooting down friendlies or, non-participating aircraft, which is very bad. We think this is a problem, or I think this is a problem. You guys can tell me what you think, but it is a problem. The fact that they won't take responsibility is not unsurprising, but it's wrong because, you shoot down an airliner. It's not the first time they've shot down an airliner. And it's one of the things we talked about when we talked about the Hornet is we're lucky it was a Hornet and not an actual airliner because that is bad as well. But what do you guys think about this?
Dude, again, thoughts and prayers to those who didn't make it. On the same token, those pilots, man, those guys, gals were heroes.
Yeah, we
don't know exactly what happened, but by all accounts, they were, no hides, no flight controls, just flying it with the thrust of each engine. And like you said, it's just like the Sioux City incident. And I don't know anything about the Embraer and how its flight control system, but dude, that's some incredible aviating, and my hat's off to them because there was a lot of it. We've all seen the footage. That was a spectacular crash. I would argue uncontrolled almost, and it's amazing that anybody survived.
Survivable, yeah.
Yeah, that anybody survived. So it really shows the professionalism of the pilots, and really, man, in my opinion, the Embraer must be a well-built airplane. Like I don't know anything about it, but yeah, as far as it getting shot down, I've always wondered. It kind of brings back because I was in Malaysia when MH17 got shot down, and at the time I was like, "What are airliners doing flying around near war zones?" And not to defend the Russians, but in and around that vicinity, allegedly. Because I was doing a little research earlier, there were some hostile Ukrainian drones that they had shot down. So not giving them an excuse for shooting down an airliner, but as a logical thinking person, I could see how an accident like this could happen. But at the same time, man, I'm kind of at a loss, right? Because airliners have transponders, they squawk, they're on certain routes. And I'm not super smart on every drone the Ukrainians use, but airliners generally, I would think fly higher and faster than
probably
most.
Bigger radar cross section, right?
Yeah. Was it landing? Was it coming in to land in Russia?
even if it was right. I mean, they're watching it come out of.
They're
you know,
talking. They should be talking to them. I mean, it should be a
right. But then
I mean,
you know,
we were
But
talking.
then
to our
again,
Hornet
we're
and
also
shot it.
talking to
Yeah.
our Super Hornet.
It's
Right.
probably different
Right.
people, you know, and that's the thing is where bureaucracy and kill chains happen that are separate from who they need to be. I mean, an SA-22 is a double-digit SAM, dude. I mean,
no escape.
Like, what do you expect these guys to do?
Yeah, nothing. I mean, they did what they could, which was
amazing. I mean, incredible. Like the pilots will go down as, you know, if all that is confirmed, which it appears to be, it'll be the Sioux City thing. The fact that anybody survived, that they did what they could with the information they had. And somebody asked, you know, captain's authority, right? Wombat, you're obviously as a captain, you're very familiar with this, but people are like, well, why didn't they say captain's authority and just land in Russia, even though they said no? They just shot at him.
Yeah.
You just got shot at. I mean, what's to say they're not going to A, shoot again, or B, if you do land, shoot you with an AK? Like, I don't disagree with that at all. I mean, I don't trust it.
Definitely. Those are things that I hope when I fly to Omaha tomorrow, I don't
Nobody
have to
shoots at you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, it's, I can only imagine. I mean, that's a whole different level, man, to be flying around. You look at the, like flight aware and stuff like that. And just I'm like, my goodness, why? Like, what are we doing? Like, you don't have to go to Meemaw's house that bad. Like, I mean,
that's they're living this every day. I mean, otherwise,
I know. But my ignorant, you know, fat, dumb American cushy lifestyle, that's where my brain goes. So like, what are we doing here? Like, I just feel bad. You know, like you put yourself, again, like I said on the first one, you put yourself in that situation. I mean, dude, it's the last thing you think about in an airliner. Like it just, I feel for them.
They probably didn't even know.
Good pilots. Yeah, they probably had no idea what hit them. I mean, other than
all the heights go to zero, and you're like, uh-oh.
Yeah. You're like, that's unfortunate.
Well, you hear
I'm sure that I'm assuming the plane probably lurched or something.
Well, there's footage inside the airplane where you can see where shrapnel has gone through. You know, there's like panels open and in the airplane, but yeah, it's wild. I mean, I you know, they're lucky the airplane stayed airborne and intact, you know, for them to attempt a crash landing.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
I don't know. I just there's some. I mean, to me, you know, like the human aspect of it, right? I mean, if you haven't seen that video of the one gentleman who's like talking to his phone, like saying his prayers and goodbye to his wife, then he survives it afterwards, and they interview him. I mean, it's like, I mean, it's incredible. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I think they're going to send the black boxes to Brazil. I think. To, you know, download all the data, get everything we need to know. And, you know, the truth will probably come out on this one, just being a civilian event. But I don't know, man.
It's crazy. It's really crazy.
Yeah.
We need some wins, boys. We need some wins. We need some W's.
We got a couple more not wins.
Oh,
unfortunately, man.
Yeah. Well, I thought maybe as a segue, we would take a break from all the doom and gloom and talk about China's new 6th-gen flights real quick.
China?
Yeah. But first we got Nathan Wheeler says, hey guys, Alec here, mover. When you get in a blue car like Wombats, you finally touch Tomcat yet? First of all,
Nate.
I have both. This is Alec. This is his son.
Yeah.
Wombat, don't bully the children.
I'm sorry.
Have you finally touched a Tomcat yet? I have touched a Tomcat, never flown one.
Alec, I got your
in many ways.
Alec, I got the package that you sent me. Thank you very much. I love the picture.
I got to go to the post office.
And the poem. It's a classic, man. So thank you, Alec.
Yeah. Max says the question is, why did the pilots fly to Kazakhstan? Baku is closer and other places outside. I think there was also GPS jamming.
Yeah.
I mean, now they might have been just looking for whatever they could see outside. Like, hey, I could pull up this VOR
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
Hey, this is I never found. Did they land on an airfield or did they just land in a field?
I think it was an airfield.
Was it okay? I wasn't. Yeah, I was trying to see like what airfield they actually went to, but I never saw it because I remember it named the city or the town it went to, but I don't remember seeing it at airfield. It looked like I mean, the gear was down, right? They were trying to land. I mean, yeah,
I'm
and I
trying to
probably
look and
couldn't pronounce
see.
it anyways, but
Yeah, it doesn't say.
yeah.
It says, with holes in the fuselage, some crew injured, passengers praying for their lives in a depressurized cabin, and the plane spiraling out of control. The pilots flew across the Caspian Sea towards their death in a crash landing. Only through the courage and professionalism of the pilots was an emergency landing successfully carried out. This is the presidential office said this.
Wow.
It doesn't say. Had flown from the capital, Baku, to Grozny in Russia's southern Chechnya before veering off hundreds of miles across the Caspian Sea. It does not say specifically. Oh, yeah. It was near the city of Akhtal. So I think that they were trying to land there and they just, wherever they could, put it down is what they ended up.
Okay. Yeah. And I'm not super smart on like international flying or whatever, but I mean I'm sure there was probably rules and regulations and stuff that they were, thinking
Well,
about.
yeah, I'm sure they were trying to do as much as they could by the book because they didn't want to get shot down again. Or
Right.
shot down.
Well,
shot
I think they were just
more.
doing whatever at that point.
Get the plane.
You're just trying to control the plane. All right. So real quick, right after Christmas, China stages test flights of 2 different ones. And I covered this on my channel, this bomber that looks like Mothman. But then they also flew this one. I guess it's supposed to be a fighter. So have you guys seen this?
No.
The thing
Is that the one with 3 engines or is that the bomber?
That's the 3-engine one.
Hmm.
Hold on. I'll play this for you. Share this one. Y'all seeing this? You see a video? Yep. That's the bomber. Yeah. Looks like a JH version. If you notice, that's a J20, dude.
Yeah.
That thing is huge.
Yeah.
That thing is
huger.
Huge.
Wow.
And obviously the gear down because, well, I mean, that's
flight.
how test flights, first flights do. But there's a couple videos of that. And then, but there was actually a second footage of another fighter, and it's this one right here. Much smaller, not real high res detail.
Manned or unmanned?
They don't say. It could be. So there it is being chased by, looks like maybe a J11, right?
Yeah.
Their flanker's a J11.
Yeah.
But
that thing has no tail either, right? Just wing.
Yeah. So they were saying that the one was a Chengdu design, while the smaller was been Shenyang combat aircraft. But there's been no confirmation. There's a lot of stuff on the heavy stealth. It's got 3 engines, which is interesting because one of the intakes is on top. No vertical tails, no tail for yaw control. It's got some kind of like thrust vectoring deal. And then it's got a 36 on the side, which could be J36. And there you see, I mean, that's a J20, dude.
Wow. Yeah.
I mean, that thing is massive. Just got a chunky monster. And then here's the other one for the 6th-gen fighter, which that looks like twin engine thrust vectoring. It looks very similar to that one we saw at the air show, but not quite.
You mean the prop?
The movie prop, yeah.
The movie.
It looks
not
similar.
A prop, dude. It's real.
Well, it's flying, yeah. Oh, here's some awful K-pop music or whatever they listen to over there.
No, that's even better. Leave that on.
Yeah, but look, check it out. It's flying. Oh, and smoke.
Oh, wow. Smoking. Yeah. Stealth fighter.
Well, that's probably a. So we don't get to see a whole lot.
It looks like an F4 the way it's smoking, for Christ's sake. How is this thing 6th gen? Like,
well, dude, you know how it is. Like, I mean, who knows what engine's really going to go into it, right?
So you got the missile bay there, weapons bay. You can't really see the tail, but that looks like some level of, thrust vectoring. It's trying to hide the nozzles for the IR signature with the flaperons, I guess, rear flaps that moved for control and then thrust vectoring for control. I don't know. But there's no information on it. So this is all kind of speculative.
Yeah.
But it's a significant day because it's the birthday of Mao Zedong, who's the founder of the PRC. Mao Zedong.
Let's call
But
him
Mao. Unlike the West, they don't think 13 is unlucky. So it's 13 years since the Chengdu Mighty Dragon first broke its cover, and China wanted it to be seen. So you must think in Chinese in order to fly it.
Wait a minute, that's from a movie.
Yeah, what do you guys think, man? Should we go steal it and see what's up?
Also from a movie. It may be. I mean, clearly it's the next generation technology, but
yeah,
is it a fighter? I don't know. I mean, you bring
the
up a good
second one
point.
is fighter-like. Is it manned? Is my question.
Right. So or is it? It could be an interceptor. It could be a light attack bomber. I mean, clearly it's stealthy, but you bring up a good point, Mover. I mean, the J-20 is a massive jet.
You're talking about the first one. You're not talking about the little fighter yet. Okay.
I'm talking about the big one. Yeah.
Yeah. 3 engines,
so to speak. Who knows what, 6th gen bomber, fighter, tanker, technology demonstrator. Who knows? I don't know. But hey, they're flying something that doesn't have a tail. I mean,
what about the fighter? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, there's not a whole lot there, right? But at the same time, I would argue they should be developing the next gen, even though their 5th gen stuff is still really being developed and enhanced. I mean, we talked about hey, you're getting a helmet now, right? So they're expanding the envelope.
Russia.
Sorry, my bad. Getting my raid countries mixed up, but the Chinese are still expanding the envelope on, their 4th and 5th gen stuff. It makes sense to me, just like in the US, right? We're developing NGAD, the Navy, Air Force, whatever. To me, it makes sense that they would do that. And it makes sense to me that they would release this kind of footage to show the strength of the government and where the country is going on such a significant day in their history. So I'm not really surprised. As far as performance capabilities, no one knows.
And it's important to remember that they're a generation behind. So what we call 6th gen is their 5th gen. So they number up even though it's one behind. So this could be their 5th gen fighter. I could be a UCAV. This could be their unmanned loyal wingman. That one little video and picture doesn't tell us much except it's, looks stealthy. It's got some kind of, thrust vectoring capability, perhaps.
They're working. I mean, they're
flies.
working on something. Yeah,
it does flies. But we've been flying NGAD since 2020, 2019. I mean, so we just don't advertise it. Wombat, what do you think, man?
I watched Cletus put a YouTube out where he had an RC plane that was big enough that he could put a kid in it. So my theory is that this is all just RC planes zoomed out.
Chinese Cletus?
Yeah, it's Chinese Cletus YouTube page. That's all it is. And
Cletus.
And I'll be honest with you, I think our American Cletus does it way better because I don't think it was that cool. He has way cooler stuff.
He is good.
And all hate mail to
I think it's all just RC planes that they're putting on. That's my theory.
Okay. Well, let's get the audience who's smarter than us. Spartan says engines are probably WS10s as China is having issues with their WS15 5th generation engines. Open source has it behind 2 years or so.
Okay. Well, there you go.
Thank you. And then
we're going to interject actual facts.
Gory Meme says, did you see the new Chinese AEW&C?
That's right.
Airborne early warning and control jet and amphibious assault ship. Yeah, but it didn't do anything for me. I see
Didn't
that
they-
kind of stuff, and I'm just like,
When was
it's
the last
another
time
airliner.
something airborne early warning did anything for you, mover? Let's be honest.
Well,
I'm saying it never does. It's you might as well be showing me a E2.
it's
Picture
not the it's not the it's not the look of the airplane that was a little eye opening. It was their claim that this thing can see,
The
you know,
future.
the F-35,
the
F-22.
future.
Like, it was the capability. Like the claims were the
we don't
capability
call it. Yeah, it's Fat Amy. Everybody could see the F-35. She's huge.
on
Well,
radar. I'm sorry.
Oh,
My bad. I
At
should have.
some point, let's be realistic here. At some point, stealth will be OBE, overcome by events. Like
Oh,
the
yeah,
technology
100%.
will be obsolete, like
100%.
everything else.
And that's right when we're going to make our stride with real stealth.
and figure out how to shoot down drones without spending $1 billion every
Yeah,
year.
with BB guns, basically, it will be
Well,
out
like
there
the
with
Ukrainians
22s.
with the ultralight and the rifle.
Yeah,
I mean, if it works, right?
that's true.
Code Monkey says, at the very least, it demonstrates China is taking our air superiority seriously, so we should also. Or they're trying to drive us into a
Plus it
spending
up.
frenzy. Because
Yeah,
what does this
that's-
bring up? Hey, we need to fund NGAD. Hey, we need to fund this. They probably have stock in all of our
Probably.
defense contractors, and they're like, how do we get them to spend more money and line our
Mhm.
pockets more?
Code Monkey, for as long as I've been in the fighter business, it's been very clear the Chinese they've got their foot to the floor as far as developing
Yeah.
weapons, period. But fighters, yes.
Yeah.
They're serious.
Let's see. Vinay Kumar says, hi, saw the naval aviator brain injury segment. Onboard videos of a cat shot have a violent shake and a loud thud just as it leaves the carrier deck. Is it as violent as it looks?
Yes. Yeah.
More so.
Yeah,
More so.
Yeah. I don't know if I said it on the show, but and Wombat, you probably had this happen to you too. I mean, there's been
Forget the parking brake and think you forgot the parking brake and look
No.
down at the cat shot because I've done that.
No, like you do, leading up to deployment, you do a little bit of shore stuff. Then you go back to the boats. You're going back and forth, and I
Yeah.
remember back on the ship and like a taxi up to the cat, and I'm just you're so busy with everything. You're kind of on stem power, salute, ready to go, and I'm like, what do I do with my hands? And the cat fires in my head wasn't in the head box, and it really
No,
it
dude.
really hurt my neck. And I just say that as it is violent if you're not ready for it. And,
Mhm.
I had a brain fart there. I wasn't in the right body position, and it hurt. And it has fractured necks. I know of Navy fighter pilots who have had neck fractures from it. So,
Yeah, and what's interesting about this, so that was a true story. I mean, I wasn't as much as I was joking as literally I was sitting on the catapult as you've done for like you get there early and you put the parking brake on, you put your hand on it, right? And typically if you're in the Navy, you go through your checklist just like any pilot multiple times if you have time to kill. And I guess I had taken my hand off of it and go through the thing. Now in my brain sitting here, I'm like, well, I taxied over the shuttle, put the launch bar, all these things happened. But in my brain at that moment when the lights came on, I was like, crap, is the parking brake still on? There's no chance it would have been. I taxied forward, but I looked and took a cat shot that way.
Oh, yeah.
And I called back. I couldn't do the mission because I couldn't turn my head. Like I couldn't do anything. And so I came back and flight doc was there with a gallon Ziploc bag of 800 milligram Motrin. He's like, as much full. I mean, dude, he's like, whatever you need. I mean, but when I had my incident with the double vision, and I finally got back to Lemoore, they thought it was from potential optic nerve damage, which I did not know that goes from a cat shot or a landing. And now there's stuff that's just starting to come out that, and I'm not saying I know anybody that can vouch for any of this, but I read something, somebody sent me something where issues with, I hate to lump in PTSD and stuff like that, but issues with that from the fighter pilots, the pulling G's and all this stuff. So it's really interesting. I mean, it might explain why a lot of the old captains I used to fly with are really grumpy.
Well, it's
but there's something to that, to where I think we're learning about the stresses that your body's put under when you fly fighters or fly around the carrier. That's interesting.
Yeah, bottom line, 0 to 160 miles an hour in 2.5 seconds. So that's
Take that, Elon.
Ouch.
Take that.
My neck hurt when I said that.
Yeah, I did. It did.
Okay, moving on. The Brujo. On a lighter note, looking up the F-111 whole cockpit module ejection.
Yeah.
For water landings, additional buoyancy is required. Auxiliary floating bag is deployed. Lads wouldn't have even gotten wet.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
All
See,
right.
we've actually stepped back in technology over the years with the Super Hornet. Because, like I said before, there's nothing super.
Maximiliano Quinones, with how much has been developed for our 5th gen, against 5th gen, no chance. I find it a bit funny how they're going to 6th gen already. What does 6th gen mean to them? What does 6th gen even mean? What does any of the generation mean?
I feel like we need to stop counting.
Marketing terms.
Well, I mean it's the next design, right? And it's just
It should be clear, like C8, C7, C6. Like the headlights don't flip up anymore. There's your next generation.
yeah.
I think it's
I
all
mean,
a moot point because Tom
It's a
Cruise,
Cow's point.
he showed us we could do anything with 5 wet Super Hornets. So,
And the
Well-
F-35 cannot
Can't do
operate
it.
with no GPS.
but the Hawkeye could. So, I'm just saying. Which
I
don't
think we're all in
understand
agreement.
100%.
4th gen is probably the pinnacle of fighter design. Everything after that is probably.
It's gone downhill.
It's just like cars.
Yeah. This is old man, old fighter pilot talk. Back in my day.
Mark
I
says,
can't-
outstanding
Back when I had a
episode.
fish bowl.
Thank you, Mark. My
Thanks,
favorite
Mark.
aviation channel. Thanks, Mark. Happy New Year, boys.
Happy
All
New
right,
Year.
Gonky, since your name's on this show, would you like to do the mental health minute since it's 8:56, or would you like to do another topic since you've got 45 other topics over here?
I didn't realize. Well, dude, I mean, there was a lot to talk about.
We did the
tonight,
Sean
dude.
Cross version
We did.
tonight.
We did.
We covered 3 topics.
Covered 3 topics. I don't have a mental health minute. So what else do we have?
I have a mental health minute.
What is it? You didn't tell me.
I got one right
Hey,
here.
welcome to my world where nobody knows what we're going to talk about. And
Where
I
the
just,
points don't matter and nobody's keeping track.
occasionally,
So that's
I
your
actually get
options.
a
We can do
link.
mental health minute or we can do one of these topics.
What's
Dealer's
the mental
choice.
health minute?
You won't know until we get there.
everybody likes the mental health minute.
All right, let's do the mental health minute.
All right. Aim small, miss small.
Okay.
I'll do it.
Let's do the other.
You
Yeah,
don't
go
have
ahead.
to start talking. I just didn't know
You
if you
do it.
wanted to do this segment now or not. So this is inspired by my friend WOMBAT, who's going to start his YouTube channel for motivational and inspirational quotes and Porsche curios.
It's
Is
the worst
curios a word?
YouTube channel
Curios?
ever.
Yeah. Anyway, so I was thinking about the end of 2024. I always do a wrap up, or at least I have since I've been doing the channel. And the last couple have been kind of sad. And this one's not too sad. But I was looking at my buddy Wombat's Instagram, him at the gym, getting more huge, talking about goals and how he can help people. And it got me thinking, you know, in shooting, they talk about aim small, miss small. And we've talked about setting goals and what you want to do. And yes, it's important to have this long, grand vision. Like, I want to be, you know, the next Tom Clancy or the best author, and, you know, all books be turned into movies and stuff like that. The problem with that, though, is that when you make big, grand visions and that's all you look at, what ends up happening is you get disappointed, because when it doesn't happen immediately or it doesn't happen like you thought it did, you never achieve that goal. So the idea with aim small, miss small, when you're shooting, you know, if you're looking at a smaller area, well, if you miss, you're not going to miss these great distances. And so if you set specific, measurable, achievable goals for yourself, when you're looking at 2025 and saying, how do I make myself better? How do I do this? Take these small goals that you can actually achieve and then build upon them to make something great. For example, my author thing, you know, I'm going to write a chapter a week, you know, start with that. I'm going to write, you know, 100 words a day. I'm going to work and then move that up to 1,000 words a day. Take small goals and small bites at that overarching goal. And eventually you will turn that into something special versus saying, well, I want to be a best-selling author and I want all of my books to be movies and this is going to be great. Because if you do that, just like race car driver, if, you know, I want to win the Daytona 500. Well, you're going to have to do a couple more races before you get to that point. So it's important to set these small goals that you can achieve so that you can get to the bigger goals. And that's my pitch. Always 988-911. If you're thinking about hurting yourself or getting depressed over these holidays, reach out to your bros, Military One Source, go to your squadron director of psychological health, or call 911 if you need to. Which one of you guys wants to go next? Wombat looks like he wants to talk.
Gonky can talk.
I like it, Mover. I mean, it's the end of the year, right? So usually January 1st, everybody has, my list of goals for the new year. Aim small, miss small. I like it, to become, my when I was a kid, my dream was to be a fighter pilot, and you don't go straight into the cockpit of a fighter, right? So it's small. There's you eat the elephant one bite at a time, just like you said, Mover. And there's small goals on the way to the big goal, which I like the way you put it. The other thing I'll add is when I first saw this aim small, miss small, and I struggle with this myself, is, because I like real estate, entrepreneurship and stuff like that. But, it's, if you bet small, you're going to win small as well. Right. So like in real estate, I've done like hundreds of land deals that are smaller, and I've done a couple of big deals, and they take the same amount of work, and the difference in picking a goal that's large versus small is literally in my mind. I'm just fear. Right. So, for me going into the new year, I want to dream a little bigger. Yeah. If you miss, you might miss bigger too. But yeah, that's my take. That's my take on it. Wombat, what do you think?
Ho. What's this goal? Are we quitting something?
Mm-hmm.
No. What's the goal?
No.
What's the Manchester here? No.
No.
Let's put some stakes on this. What are we doing?
Going bigger.
What? What are you doing? What are we doing? What's the big
yet.
goal? What's the big goal here? Come on.
I haven't.
Come on.
Gonky's big goal is that he's going to have a big goal.
Yes.
Breaking news. Sorry, didn't mean to give it away. I know you, man.
Go ahead, Wombat.
No, I agree. I think those are really good things. I think this time of year is always interesting. I haven't been in the social media world nearly as long as Mover has. Still relatively new to this, but there's a trend at this point, right? I mean, anybody that has Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, MySpace, is that still a thing? This is when all of the fluff starts coming out, right? This is when people are going to tell you how they could fix it, how, new year, new you, your journey, blah, 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 blah. And you're just going to hear all this. And it's frankly the same crap you're going to hear every year at this time, because everybody's eaten far too much turkey and far too many cookies and has sat around. And I saw a meme the other day, the time between Christmas and New Year's, nobody knows what day it is. You have no idea how much you've eaten, like what's happening. The kids are home if they go to school, stuff like that. It's just this whole weird nebulous world that you can't wrap your brain around for like a week. And then you feel bad about it because you focused on nothing, right? And then now it's the new year. So that's where all this comes in. And the reality of it is you need to stack the wins, right? So, and I think that's kind of what Mover's going towards here is, it's real easy for me to say that I'm going to get to leave my job next year because Treason Flight is only trumped by the success of Vengeance Flight in movies. And I disappear from everything and I'm no longer on any internet because I own an island where I just drive around in my car while my wife raises our children. Like, that's not going to happen, right? That's ridiculous. But I can have that goal. You need the little wins, and this is what I think Mover's getting at, and you need a lot of them quick, right? Because what everybody has on January 1st when they wake up, what most people have is a hangover, which is something we can talk about. But what everybody has is they have a fresh slate. They flip the calendar, phone flips over, it's a new year, everything's good, they're going. And when you have that, you have all of the motivation and none of the dedication, because you've done literally nothing on January 1st to make 2025 worth a damn. You've done nothing because you haven't had any time. But you do need to have some small wins, because those small wins turn into big wins. So you need to line some things up, and you only have a couple days left. And hopefully you've already done it frankly. I mean, hopefully, and that was kind of what my post was today that Mover alluded to was, hopefully you're there. Hopefully you've taken some time, you put the cookies down, a little bit of eggnog, turkey's worn off, and you can just put some clear, definable goals, and they don't have to be huge. They can be these small goals, because that's what you're going to need for the first few days. And you could use the gym analogy, right? I mean, anybody's ever been to a gym, right? Nobody that is a regular at a gym wants to go to a gym on January 1st or 2nd or 3rd. Give it till the 7th and it's fine by the 7th. Because what's happened is all those people that were gung-ho and they didn't really have any dedication, they just had motivation, and they didn't really have any clear goals to get any wins. They came in for a week, they're sore as hell, it hurts, they realize how much this sucks, they haven't lost 40 pounds, and they quit. And then you can come back in on the 7th and be like, cool, we're back to normal. And Gonky's laughing because he's lived this his whole damn life. Like, we've literally talked about this, that first week of January is the worst time to go to the gym. So what you need to do, and it goes along the idea of aim small, miss small, is you need to have some of these, just a list. I mean, it could be a dozen goals that you want to attain by the end of January. And I know that sounds ridiculous, but that means they're not going to be huge wins. But if you can stack 50, 60, 70% of those as W's, now you got a chance, because now you're using all that motivation and you're putting that work in every day, and you're going to start getting that dedication. And the dedication is what makes you a fighter pilot, what gets you your wings, what helps you lose weight, what helps you have a good relationship or be a good dad or mom or whatever. It's all that. It's the grind. Because come February, nobody gives a damn. Like, all of those Instagram and Twitter and the hoopla and this is the quick fix, all that crap's gone. And now you're in the grind, and you got 11 months ahead of you, right? And what is going to make 2025 any different than the last 5 years? If you don't change who you are and what you do, assuming you're not where you want to be, if you're where you want to be, that's great. Keep going, right? But if you're one of most people that aren't 100% where they want to be, and you don't make changes, 2025 is not a new year. It's just another year. And it's going to be another year, and you're going to do the same crap over again. And we're going to be sitting here a year from now, hopefully, God willing, and we're going to have some other mental health minute. And I'm going to tell you that you had all of your motivation and you never transitioned to that dedication and putting in the work. I like hearing about Mover getting some wins. I want to hear about them over the next month. I've got my own plans. I don't know how much is going to happen, how much isn't going to happen. We'll see. Gonky apparently is going to be the next Trump for real estate and land mobile, which is awesome, because I really think the budget of the show is going to take off then. But let's be honest, the idea of aim small, miss small from Mover and aim big, miss big from Gonky is 100% their personalities in a nutshell, because what Mover's trying to do right now is get some of those W's lined up to get some momentum. And Gonky, it just always works out for him all the time.
No.
So you might as well shoot big, because it's going to work.
He's not going to get any trouble. I mean, whatever.
No,
everybody's just be like, oh, shucks.
It totally makes sense, each one of you putting that. But the bottom line is this: it has been a hell of a year. I know we talked a lot tonight about bad things in aviation. There's a lot of good things going on in aviation. There's a lot of good things going on in this world. This is a tough time of year for everyone. It just is. It's stressful. You got family in town, or in-laws, or work, or whatever's going on. Some guy on social media giving out secrets in the Navy. Whatever it is that gets you fired up, right, is going on, and it weighs on you. So take this time. Focus on yourself a little bit. Have a plan. Take a deep breath. It's okay. It's okay. Like the personal story I give is the tornado warnings went off at 4 a.m. My wife woke up. She goes, should we get in the shelter? I looked at my phone. I said, grab the kids, grab the dog. We all huddled into this room in this, this closet. And we sat there for like an hour. And it started our day on the wrong foot. Right. It really did. At 4 a.m., Gonky, you wake your kids up at 4 a.m. Your day's shot. There's no sleep cycles. Everything's screwed up. So right before I came on the show, kids are asleep, talking to my wife at the counter. And she's like, I just feel bad. We haven't been doing a lot of stuff and all this. And I go, hold on a second. I go, put it in perspective. The kids are healthy. Life's good. We're in a good spot. Right. we have nothing that we need to worry about because we can't control any of that other stuff, right? So focus on what you can control, count your blessings, keep the people that mean something to you close, try to be a nice person and not a D-bag to people. And we're all going to be okay. That's the reality of this, is we're all going to be okay. Don't put in your mind going into 2025 that it has to go a certain way. Because if anything in the last 4 or 5 years have taught us in this planet is that it's not going to go that way. There's going to be things, and that's life. So be flexible, have some good wins in the beginning, and it's going to be a good year. Like, we can make it a good year with whatever we hit.
Well, Doug, what do you think?
I forgot Doug was even here.
Hey, now.
Yeah, go, Doug. Of
You
course,
didn't
I didn't
yawn or
forget
anything.
Doug.
How do we
I
know
didn't-
you're here if you're not
I'm gonna-
yawning in the middle of Wombat?
I'm going to get a soundboard and have that yawn available whenever I need it from now on.
Bad news.
Bad. So that's one of my favorite sayings when I'm teaching people to shoot. I always try to explain to them what it is you're trying to get across with aim small, miss small. And if you look at pretty much any source for self-help, they talk about setting realistic and attainable goals. Excuse me. But the part a lot of folks don't realize, and Wombat kind of hit this one, is you also need to make your goals measurable. You need to know I've achieved it and be able to celebrate it, because vague, unattainable goals are just going to make you unsatisfied all the time. The only thing I would add to extend the shooting metaphor a little further is shoot a long string before you make the judgment. Don't go out there and shoot a 3-shot group and say, oh, I missed all 3. You might hit the next 6, shoot 9, shoot 10, shoot a dozen before you decide, hey, okay, now this is definitely not working, or this definitely is working. And, in life too, not just when you're shooting.
Gonky,
I
it's
believe
the end
that's-
of 2024.
Yes, shocker, man.
This is our last episode. Would you like to share your goals for 2025? I'm not going to say resolutions because I think those are cheesy. I don't have one, but do you have any goals?
I just want to be a free man. Let's just put it at that.
What is the camera doing? Why? How did this thing become self-aware tonight?
Luna, stop. Is Luna pushing the buttons again?
Luna's over there.
Keep hitting the zoom on your camera.
She's hitting the zoom. It's
I
a
thought it was a good
dramatic.
effect.
It's a dramatic zoom, like we're Telemundo on a soap opera. Anyway, go Gonky.
Man.
Tell me your dreams.
Well, I.
Okay, good talk.
Well,
Wombat?
I'm always curious who's watching, man.
Yeah, everybody's watching. I've said it before, I focus on my faith, my family, my fitness, and my finances. Those are my 4 pillars, if you will. All else being said, more content, YouTube channel, more writing, trying not to crash a car, trying not to do anything stupid at work, all that stuff aside, like, I really want to shape those 4 things stronger than they've ever been. And I'm close. I really am. Like, I'm at a point of equilibrium, in the last 3 months that it's weird. I mean, I've had friends reach out, hey man, how you hanging in there? Like, I know you're not in the training department anymore. And it's funny because when I first got cut, it was what defines me. And now when I hear people say that, I'm like, yeah, it's awesome. Like, I've been able to focus on me and the things. I mean, twice, you guys both know, twice in my career, I have focused on something much bigger than me. And both times, at some point, they've kicked me pretty darn hard. And it's the term I heard recently was an ego death. And I needed that ego death, to be honest with you. The Navy did it to me once, and the airlines have done it to me once. And both times I've come out so much stronger on the backside. So, I remember back to when I found out I was not going to be an instructor anymore. And my wife was like, are you okay? And I said, I'm kind of excited. She's like, about what? And I'm like, every time something like this has happened in my life, something great has come out of it. So, and I'm starting to feel that momentum. So I want to continue that momentum going forward, and focus on the things that support that. That's 2025 to me, and keep everybody healthy and happy. I mean, I pray every night that my kids and my wife and my dog stay healthy and happy and safe, because that's the foundation. If I can have that, I can get through anything else.
All right, Mover, I'll tell you.
You're just
much-
copying off
motivated
a
you.
Wombat now.
After much
motivated
No, you're
run-
just copying off a
No.
Wombat. Go ahead.
No, my one goal for 2025. I would
One?
like my
Well, it's a big one. He's a shoot big, miss
Shoot
big.
big.
Oh,
Remember,
right,
shoot
right,
big,
right,
miss
right,
big.
right.
Yeah.
My apologies.
He's all
Sorry.
in.
I would like to stop flying airplanes professionally.
Wow.
That's my
Mm.
goal.
In
You'd call this
2025.
professionally up to this part?
For money.
You know, the worst
For money. He
professional.
wants to stop flying for money.
The
That's-
worst
that's-
professional is still professional. Wombat.
That's
He
true.
wants
I
to
guess
stop
technically
being a lady of the night, but with airplanes.
It's like that's a good point,
Leave
because
the
my
money
dad,
on the-
when the first book published, he goes, "Well, you're a professional writer now," and I go, "No, I'm not." And he goes, "If somebody pays you for it, it's a profession." And I was like, "Well, you're the one who bought the book, but technically, yes, you're right. I am. So you're right. You're a professional."
I would like to not fly airplanes for money anymore. That's where I'm at. So there it is, out in the open. Next
Your
year when I'm
union
still
is gonna love the fact that you're willing to fly for free. I'll tell you that right now. They
Yeah,
are
during
gonna,
company-
contract negotiations.
yeah, the company will love it. Wait a
We got
minute,
1,000 viewers, dude. That could be your whole pilot roster.
Yeah.
yeah,
That
they're
could be
like,
all of
"What
them.
do you do?"
No,
They're all
hey,
watching Gonky to see if he's going to fly
They are
tomorrow.
awesome. Like the people I work with are phenomenal. I just where my kids are in life, and my wife and stuff. And I don't work much anyways. And I'm like, I'm just at this point in my life where there's bigger things I like to do, and
Sure.
being tied to a schedule is counter to those things. So it's not, if I'm unable to make it happen 25, it will not be a terrible thing, because I actually like where I'm at.
Sure.
But that's my goal. You asked, Mover, you shall receive.
That's
right.
big. That's
Well,
a big
good.
one.
I
At
know.
the end. Let's see. Spartan says, don't insult the F-22 like that, Gonky.
I love the F-22. Love it.
Jander's back says, aim small, hit a cow. Laura says, smart, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound.
Yeah.
John says, success is rarely the result of one swell swoop, but more often the culmination of many, many small victories. Joseph M. Marshall III, a.k.a. Mike Tyson. Tagaro says, someone mentioned the F-111 earlier. You lads should check out its supersonic pass over RAAF outpost at Evans Head on YouTube. It's pretty epic and funny. Aaron says, I start my new job on January 2nd.
Congrats.
It's like Thursday.
That's awesome.
It's
Yeah.
couldn't
Iron
give you the
shirt.
weekend, huh? It's been hell to get there, but I'm there. 2 years of never giving up, never down, never out.
That's
Hell
awesome.
yeah. And then Steve says, be better at DCS, Gonky.
Valid. 100% valid, man. I love it.
Zippers Forever says, enable. Oh, come on. Seriously, my goal is to have this thing.
Luna.
Yeah, Luna to stop. Watch. Now it's going to be that.
That's
Oh, we got to
It's like
stop
90s,
this.
90s graphics, man.
that
The
is,
aliens really did get him.
Squiggly.
yeah.
Let's see if this
they're
works.
jamming you right now.
There it is. I don't understand it. Enable breathing, control the bleeding, reload, and push on to the objective. Good show.
Thanks, man.
Jander's back says, mover goal for 25, no check engine light.
I love it.
All
I
right.
love it.
Do we know why you got a check engine light?
Yeah, dude, if you'd watch my stuff,
I
you'd
don't.
know. Well, then I
don't.
can't help you. Spoiler alert, I need the revenue. Go watch it. I can't. Stay tuned for the next episode.
Somebody will message me and tell me I don't need to watch your show. It's,
What?
It's
In
a GM
2025,
bulletin.
Mover will acknowledge that Luna is
Well-
the best. I'll say that right now. Luna is the best. So I'll say that 2024. That's easy. That is the easiest thing I'll ever say. She is the best. All right. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, everybody.
We're out of things to say for you people tonight.
Don't drink and drive. Be
Don't drink and
safe.
drive.
be safe. Make
Don't
good
worry
Don't
decisions.
yourself up.
subtract
Have
from
a
the
plan.
population. Don't add to the population.
Unless you want to. I mean,
No.
Well, not
think
between
it
now
through.
and New Year's. Like
Think it
let's
through.
make it a
I got you.
reasoned
Think it through.
decision.
Think it through.
And that's it. We'll see you next year.
we'll see you guys. Have a good night.
Oh, wait.
Whoa,
Tom
what?
says Corvette versus IROC win.
Wouldn't be much of a race.
Yeah. Probably have better luck against the Porsche.